Hello, everybody. Welcome to our creating your naturopathic prescription, lifestyle prescription. So we are going to have some fun tonight. We've got about 4 minutes before the official start. Let me just turn my YouTube streaming volume off. There we go. I'm streaming this to YouTube as well because we had so many people sign up to attend this event that we exceeded our Zoom limit. So some of those of you who are coming in right now, you guys are going to be with me on Zoom, be able to ask questions. And then everyone who comes late will have to watch the streaming on YouTube. But it's all good. We're all going to get the same information. So do not worry about that. I am going to pop in the chat a link to a worksheet that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to pop that in the chat right now. So you guys can go ahead and grab that. It's okay if you don't actually use the worksheet. You can just write. You definitely want a notebook, a pad and paper, and a pen so that you can follow along because we are going to be working on your health, your specific health during this workshop. It's not just me talking, it's us actually evaluating your health like you would if you were to book a one-on-one session with a naturopathic physician. Typically, those sessions are 90 minutes to 2 hours, sometimes longer. And that's about how much time we're going to spend here tonight. So I hope you settle in, get some water. If you need a snack, grab a snack. Because we're going to be here for a little while, but I wanted to make it super valuable. There is going to be a replay. So if you need to pop off because you have kids or you have some other responsibility, I understand, but I think those of you who stay and actually experience it live will get the most benefit. I have done a similar workshop to this a few years ago, and it was so popular. And we actually went like 3 hours on that one, but I have whittled it down a little bit to make it go a little bit faster. So I'm hoping that we will be around the 2 hour mark. And I've got some special for you at the end if you do stay. So please definitely try to stay with me, but you're definitely going to want to have a notepad. So I see people are just popping in. I am just rambling right now. I'm going to be sharing my screen pretty soon, but I just want to say hi to everybody. So in your chat, you have a link to a worksheet that we're going to be following along with during the session. I will email the worksheet out afterwards, and you could just use a plain sheet of paper. So do not worry, no stress about the worksheet. So let's see, make sure everybody can hear me and see me. Awesome. Yes, I'm looking forward to tonight as well. It's going to be so fun. I always love hanging out with my community and I love to teach. So this is actually something that I would love. I'll post the worksheet again. Oh, maybe you guys can't see it if it was posted before you came in. So I popped the worksheet in the chat. So let me know if someone can let me know if you can see the worksheet in the chat. That would be awesome. And yes, so it's up in there now. Perfect. I might have did it too early. So that's the worksheet. Again, no stress about the worksheet. Do not worry. You do not need to print it out. We can use just a plain old sheet of paper. If you got like a notepad just like this or a plain sheet of computer paper, it's going to work just fine. So do not worry. Don't you worry your pretty little faces about the worksheet, but I want you to have it so you can play along. So anyway, it is the top of the hour. So welcome everybody to our creating your naturopathic prescription workshop. It is a workshop. Like I said, we are going to be working through some things. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me see. Let me get the right screen up and let me put that in the right view. Okay, and then let me share. Okay, and let's see. So you should, uh-oh, nope, screen sharing is paused. Oh, stop the share. Let's see. Share screen. Boom. Share. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now. hopefully you can see my PowerPoint. And this is what we're talking about today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm not going to ramble too much. If you do have questions, I'm not going to be looking at the chat until the end. So either hold your questions to the end or pop them in. I will do my best to answer as many questions as possible, but we do have a lot to cover tonight, so I may have a separate Q&A session to answer those questions later, or we might just answer them in as we go. So I will check now and again. So here we go. So what are we going to do tonight? We are going to learn to decode your symptoms and create a custom healing roadmap for you, just like you would do if you were to go to see a naturopathic or even a functional medicine doctor. So the really cool thing about what we're doing tonight, that worksheet or what you're going to be writing down on your notepad, is something that is a universal language for functional medicine and naturopathic physicians. So should you go to your local naturopath or your local functional medicine doctor, you will already be one step ahead of them, which is super cool. But if you're not going to go to one of those doctors and you want to actually be your own healer, that is exactly what I teach in my Glow Protocol program. And this is kind of the beginning of that I'm teaching you for free tonight. And so if you want to dive deeper into that with me and with my coaches, that is something I'm going to share with you. At the end, we do have a very special pricing right now for the Glow Protocol, where we will actually help you make use of this roadmap, but you're going to be very, very happy with the roadmap at the end of tonight. So real quick, just close your door, tell your husband or your kids or whoever else is around that you need some time to yourself, because you're going to make yourself better, your 10.0 version of yourself for 2025. And in order to do that, we need to focus. Really quick, those of you who are new to my community, I am so happy to have you here. I'm Dr. Michelle Sands, and all you really need to know is that I am super, super passionate about spreading the message of hope and healing to as many women as possible, because I feel like the message we have gotten over the years is that there's nothing we can do. It is so bleak and the future is not bright, and that is not true at all. I felt it myself. I dealt with everything you can think of, from infertility to Hashimoto's thyroiditis, to celiac, to acne, weight gain, PMS, food sensitivities, parasites, the list goes on and on. Anyway, I've probably had one of the things that you're dealing with. And I started off with a very, very bad start. My family did not even have vegetables in the house. The only vegetable I had until high school was canned corn. So what I'm trying to say here is, no matter what your starting point is, no matter where you are right now, you can actually make that change, and you can be in the best shape of your life. You can be in the best mindset of your life. You can have the best mental health of your life, and you can have the best happiness of your life. And so I am a licensed naturopathic physician. I am the founder and CEO of Glow Natural Wellness. I lead an amazing team of practitioners and coaches that just love what they do, and they are just as passionate as I am at really helping women to overcome their struggles and live their best lives. And I love the hard cases. So if you've been told you're too confusing, you're too complicated, nothing seems to work, this is going to help to make all those answers make more sense. Okay, so again, I spent the majority of my life bouncing from doctor to doctor, basically on the roadshow of take this prescription, there's nothing you can do. Then I turned to Eastern medicine, meditation, yoga, do really anything I could do to find answers. Finally, I went back to school, became a doctor, didn't like the conventional path, so found naturopathic medicine. And I was able to heal myself in the process. I was able to overcome the diagnosis of primary ovarian failure. And it really wasn't a failure, it was just an insufficiency. And the insufficiency was due to all the health issues that I was dealing with. So one by one, I was able to identify and remove the dysfunctions that were causing my symptoms and causing all of the horrible things I was experiencing. And I had my son, Paxton Sands. He is the light of my life, and he's also kind of the inspiration for what I do at Glow Natural Wellness. And that is really shining the light and letting women know that their diagnosis is not their destiny, and there's so much we can do to overcome our insufficiencies, overcome our dysfunctions, and really unlock that natural healing state, that natural ability of your body to heal. And that is really what I teach women in our program, specifically the Glow Protocol. And the results of the Glow Protocol are amazing. We have helped thousands, literally thousands of women to overcome things like MS, autoimmunity, infertility, um, dementia diagnoses that were not correct, food sensitivities, parasites, gut issues, all types of autoimmune conditions. And it is with this method you're going to be learning tonight. This is where it all starts. And so I really want you to know that everything you need to heal, grow, and thrive can be found in nature, in the universe, and within yourself. So if you take nothing else away from this training tonight, I really want you to know that healing is our natural state. And you don't need to be a health professional to unlock this innate ability that we're all born with. But you do sometimes have to avoid some of the unnatural things in the world. So the pharmaceutical industry does not want you to know this statement, but I want you to know that everything that you need to learn to return to that state of pure health is available to you. And most of it we teach at Glow Natural Wellness, and a lot of it you're going to understand from this workshop tonight. So super excited to have you here. It's going to be awesome. All right. So really important distinction here. A lot of people will give me credit for their healing. They'll say, oh, I found Dr. Michelle and I went through her Glow protocol and she fixed all my problems. That is not true. A physician treats, but nature heals, and you are actually the healer. You are the one who is doing the healing. So today, I want you to tap into your natural healing capabilities so that you can be your own healer. And your doctors can be the facilitators. They can order the labs. They can help you understand what the symptoms mean. But you are the one who has to take control, because nobody else knows your body better than you do. And in society, we tend to look up to doctors, and especially the ones that perform the most surgeries or writes the most prescriptions. And that should not be the doctor that we're looking up to. We should be looking up to the doctor that has the most healthy patients. And so in natural medicine, our goal is to help you build health and help you teach you how to build that health so you don't need us as much. And so the goals for tonight are going to be to give you the confidence to choose the food that gives you exactly what your body needs. So food is a big part of our healing, how we nourish our body, and give you the knowledge to make the right choices so that you're an active participant in your own health. So this is choices not only for your diet, but for your exercise and movement, for your rest and recovery, for your supplementation, for your stress reduction, for your relationships, for your spirituality. All of these things are important, and they all are parts of our healing platform and our healing roadmap, which we're going to talk about today. And so why do we want to do these things? So we have more energy, less pain, balanced hormones, strong immune system, healthy bones, healthy heart, healthy skin, great digestion, great metabolism, so that we can be strong and live life well and live longer, weller, right? That's not really a word, but you know what I mean. We don't just want to live to be older. We want to live well longer. And that is the goal. And so, even more important than all those things is having, of course, having a strong immune system so that we don't have to succumb to the next virus or next bug or next super bacteria or all the EMFs that's thrown at us. So, the stronger we can be, the more resilient we can be, the harder we are to kill, or just the better we can be out in the world and things not affect us as much, because we're never going to get rid of all the toxins. We're never going to get rid of all the cell towers. We're never going to get rid of every virus and bacteria. But the more resilient we are, the more we are able to overcome all those dysfunctions and really shore up our systems, the better we can actually handle anything that life throws at us. Okay, so the agenda for tonight. We're going to learn how to map out our medical history in a way that makes sense to us and also to whoever we're working with to help us with our health, whether it be a health coach, whether it be a doctor, whether it be an energy healer. It's really important to understand your history. And then we're going to decode your symptoms. And then we're going to unravel what your hormones are telling you. And then we're going to discover what your body needs and when it doesn't. We're going to leave with a roadmap for healing, and you're going to learn how to unlock your glow. And for those of you that don't know, glow stands for genetic leveraging for optimal wellness. And what that means is using what your mama gave you and making the most of it, basically. So you're going to leverage your own genetics for optimal wellness, not somebody else's, not trying to be something you're not, but you were perfectly made to be exactly who you are. And we're just going to make sure that we leverage everything you have to give you the best health for you. And that's all we can ever ask for. So how does that sound? Let me see. Give me a heck yeah in the chat so I know everyone's not sleeping. Awesome. Perfect. Very, very cool. And if you are on YouTube watching, just go ahead and comment below and I will definitely check out those comments. Perfect. All right. So mapping your medical history, that's where we're going to start. All right. Let me hide this chat so I can see my slides. All right. Awesome. Okay. So this is a little picture of the worksheet. And so you'll see today's objectives are we're going to learn exactly how I would approach a patient and how functional medicine doctors approach their patients. We are going to organize the information into different buckets, and that's really what this functional matrix is. We're basically going to put all your symptoms, your exposures, your history, your lifestyle into different buckets, and we're looking to identify basically triggers, root causes, dysfunctions, and signals that tell the system that there might be something affecting your well-being. And so we break it up in a very specific way. And I'm going to teach you, we're going to fill all this out for you so that we can make sense of it. And then we're going to be able to match you up with a healing plan based on where your writing is on the form. It'll all make sense pretty soon. So this is pretty different than what your medical doctor or even your quote unquote functional medical doctor who took a weekend course in functional medicine and calls themselves a functional medicine doctor. It's different than what they're going to do with you. Oftentimes, some functional or natural practitioners really operate in a symptoms treatment approach. So they are giving you, instead of medications, they're giving you supplements. And so they're simply replacing the pill for an ill mentality with a more natural or non-prescriptive approach, but that is not really natural medicine. It's not really functional medicine. That's not really a root cause approach. So what we really like to do in naturopathic medicine and true functional medicine is to take a systems-based approach. So not symptoms, but systems. And that type of approach is really how you're going to build optimal wellness. And so the systems of the body, we're going to look at all these tonight. We have assimilation, we have defense and repair, we have biotransformation and elimination, that's detox, energy production, transport, communication, structural integrity. Those are all your systems, and everything falls into one of those categories. And then we're going to take into account your unique macro environment and your micro environment. So this is your antecedents, your triggers, and your mediators. I'll explain what those words mean and what they mean for you as we go through the worksheet. And then we also want to place a very, very strong emphasis on the modifiable lifestyle factors. So these are how you're going to change from how you are currently feeling to how you want to feel. And this is with our tools, our lifestyle tools that you have so much control over every single day. Your nutrition, your stress, your relationships, your exercise and movement, your mindfulness, your sleep, your relaxation. All of these things are so important. Your supplementation. These are things that you can make that choice every single day. And most of them don't even cost anything, which is Absolutely amazing. So, and these are your main tools. You might have came on here and thought I was going to tell you a bunch of supplements to take. That is absolutely not the first step. The first step is the foundations, and the first step is really figuring out what's going on, why it's going on, and then what steps we can take to get what's going on to go in the direction we want it to go. And most of that is with lifestyle, not with pills. Of course, supplements are supplemental to your lifestyle. So sometimes we can't get enough of a certain nutrient, or our body doesn't absorb a certain nutrient, or it's just not practical in everyone's every day to get all that stuff in. So that's what supplements are for. They're supplemental to your healing protocol. So a lot of times people will ask me like, hey, Dr. Michelle, what do I take for this? And what do I take for that? And what do I take for this particular condition? And that would really be a huge disservice if I started just listing out a bunch of herbs or homeopathic remedies or hormones or any of those things, because it's not really how you heal. How you heal is with the lifestyle. And so this is like the functional medicine tree or natural medicine tree. And you'll see like at the root of the tree, that's where your lifestyle factors are. These are the things I'm talking about, those modifiable lifestyle factors. And then a little up from the roots is your mental, emotional, and spiritual influences, your biological influences, your epigenetics, your attitudes, beliefs, and your experiences. These are sometimes cultural. That's right up from the root. And then we have our systems, our functional medicine matrix that we're going to fill out. These are all the systems of the body. That's another step up. And then we have our organ diagnosis. So these are like problems with the heart or problems with the liver or problems with the lungs. That's kind of going out to where you can actually see the branches. And then the leaves are your symptoms. So leaves are what most medical professionals go after because they can see those. But the roots is where we really want to start. And so hopefully that visual makes some sense. And then another visual that I think makes a ton of sense is that your symptoms are like your body's smoke alarm, alerting you that if there's a fire that needs put out. So the smoke alarm, that's what's going off. That's what you can hear. That's what you can see. That's not the problem. The problem is not the noise of the smoke alarm. The problem is the fact that there's a fire. But conventional medicine is just addressing the symptoms. So they're like, oh, let's take the battery out of the smoke alarm. Problem solved. Don't hear the alarm anymore. But the fire is still going. So medications simply unplug the smoke alarm without addressing the real fire. And in naturopathic medicine, we want to address the fire, and the smoke alarm will naturally go off once the fire is addressed. And you don't have to have your house burned down. And I'm sorry if this analogy is hitting home for those of you in California. My heart goes out to anyone affected by the wildfires. And I wish that, we can resolve that as quickly as possible. And please reach out if there's anything we can do to help. Okay, so before we go into creating your naturopathic prescription, I'd love for you to show you an example of what you're going to experience. So here's a case study for for privacy. We're going to abbreviate. Her name is JD. She was a 26-year-old female, and she had ulcerative colitis, and she was experiencing a lot of weight loss. And this was starting just 4 weeks before she was entering nursing school. This was actually the daughter of one of my patients. And she is having bloody bowel movements like 11 times a day. She lost almost 30 pounds, and she was just so, so frail. And prior to coming to us, she was taking prednisone, she was taking MDX, she was taking a whole bunch of medications. And then her GI was telling her that she's probably going to have to go on a biologic, which had a lot of side effects. And these had not helped her bloody bowel movements, and they actually were causing her a lot of stress and a lot of just other side effects. So she came to us, well, she went to her mom, who then came to us, and we decided we were going to kind of map out her symptoms using a very similar worksheet to what you have. And so we kind of started with a blank slate. And so you'll see, we'll explain what all of these different categories are, but assimilation, that's your digestion, your absorption, your microbiome. And then we have our structural integrity. That is your musculoskeletal system. That's your bones, your cellular membranes. Then we have communication. That is your endocrine system, like your hormones, neurotransmitters, and immune messengers like cytokines. And then we have transport, which is your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, and your lymphatic system. And then we have defense and repair. That is your immune system. It's also inflammation, infection, microbiome. And then we have energy production. That's our mitochondria. And then we have biotransformation and elimination. That is our detox, our liver, our kidneys, and all the detoxification. So we had to see in JD what is going on with her. So we were able to see antecedents. This is her, what kind of led her to this point. She had bulimia when she was between 19 and 20, so about 5-6 years previously. She was diagnosed with Lyme disease at 20. She had multiple concussions during a ski trip, a history of IBS in her teens, multiple cavities, mercury fillings, recurrent UTIs all through college. She had mono in high school. She had a root canal with a failed infection. And then she also had candida and some other issues going on. Triggering events for her was going to be lack of sleep, poor dietary choices, and also nursing school was a stress to her as well. And then mediators and perpetuators, chronic stress, and insomnia. So that's what we had there. And then we went over to her symptoms, seeing what she's actually dealing with. And so we had gas and bloating. We had constipation, alternating with diarrhea. We had stomach aches after meals, nausea, bad taste in her mouth, stool with strong smell. And then for structural integrity, she had nails were breaking, hair was breaking, very, very dry, skin issues, communication, loss of libido, vaginal dryness, transport, cold hands and feet, poor circulation. Then defense and repair, she had lots of issues going on there, pain, urinary tract infections, sinus infections, mono. She traveled to different countries and she got parasites. So lots of different things. She also had some drug use. I don't know if that was good or bad, but then we have to put that down because it affects that system. And then energy production, she did not sleep well, always tired, mental brain fog, poor memory, hard to concentrate, and then biotransformation elimination, chronic dehydration, IBS, mixed IBS, so both diarrhea and constipation, poor smelling stools, household cleaners were very synthetic, lots of toxin exposure, silver and mercury fillings, and an aversion to chemical smell. So she was very chemical sensitive. So that is basically her matrix. And then in the middle, you see she felt depressed, hopeless, and helpless. She didn't really have any spiritual guide. Mental, emotional health was really in the tank. And then we went down here to some modifiable personal lifestyle factors. So she was only sleeping 5 hours a night. She had chronic stress. She could not calm down. She had just ended a relationship and she did not have a local support structure. So she didn't really have anyone who she could lean on. Exercise and movement, she just did not have energy to get any actual movement into her day. So she was sitting most of the time. Nutrition, she was on the standard American diet, fast food. Then she tried to go vegan and she was just not really able to eat hardly anything without feeling sick. She was not able to regulate her stress. She felt like she was naturally a calm person, but she felt like she was just running 100 miles an hour. And then her relationship, she didn't really have any close personal relationships. She preferred just to be kind of on her own outdoors in nature, which is not a bad thing. So yeah, so if you hopped in late, the worksheet, I'm going to pop it in the chat again. There you go. I just popped the worksheet in the chat. Okay, and then so that is kind of what we filled out for her. You guys are going to be filling this out for you today. So that's kind of an example. And then, of course, we'll talk about what to do about it. All right, so her initial plan, based on what we saw on that worksheet, was we wanted to check her blood pressure at home on a regular basis. We were adding in hemp protein with lemon water and apple cider vinegar to help her digestion. That was going to give her some plant-based protein and also help with her tummy. We were going to treat the underlying inflammation with the GAPS elimination diet. That is very simple and gentle plan for someone with that much gut issues. We did start her on some supplements. It was a probiotic, vitamin D, zinc, and some mucosal support for her intestinal mucosal barrier to help kind of soothe it. And then we gave her some stress reduction exercises. So that's not a lot. She had a lot going on, but you'll see we gave her like four, 5 supplements total. And actually, the vitamin D and zinc were together. So 4 supplements. And so that was the only thing she had purchased. The other things were just diet and just lifestyle and not too much. We didn't start making her go to the gym and do CrossFit because that was not appropriate for her at the time. We need to focus on stress reduction, nourishing and supporting the body gently so that she can then heal. We also recommended some testing, blood panel, her CBC, her CMP, ferritin, iron, vitamin D, glucose, advanced stool testing. So we really want to know what's going on inside that microbiome. We ordered a Lyme panel and an Epstein virus panel, mold and mycotoxin panel, organic acids, and genetics. Her mom just wanted to get the whole package. You absolutely don't need to order all these tests. Some of them you can get with your insurance, and then you don't need all of them, but that's what she wanted to do. Her 3-month outcome. So after just 3 months of living in basically hell, her bloody bowel movements were almost completely gone. So she was having 11 per day, and she was going some days without having a bloody bowel movement, and some days where she would have one. She would have 2 to 3 regular bowel movements a day, which you guys might think that sounds like a lot, but that is actually what is the healthiest way to be. That means that your digestive system is working well. You should have a bowel movement after every meal, not right after, but the food has to go through. Her sleep increased to 7 hours a night. She was sleeping less than 5 before. She was regularly meditating and having some stress reduction activities. She had expanded food choices, which is huge. She was not eating everything in 3 months. She wasn't completely better, but she was able to eat more foods. Her weight was starting to come back on because remember, she was completely emancipated, and she was able to start enjoying her life again. She definitely is still healing. So she's seeing results at that 3 months, but she was not done by all means, but she was definitely on a much better path than with all the medications that she was taking. So now that was her. Now we're going to talk about you. So this is the worksheet. I will pop it one more time in the chat. Let's see if I can get this chat up. Boop, boop. I popped in the chat again. So that's the worksheet. And so now we're going to talk about you guys. Let me just get back to my screen. Okay, so this is going to be your own personal matrix that we're going to start on. It's going to be your roadmap. And so this worksheet, if you don't have it handy, you can just grab a piece of paper. Again, do not worry about the actual worksheet. You can just write down the heading of the topic, and then we can do it old school. Actually, most doctors do this just writing on a chart, not with a worksheet, but I want to give you a little thing to follow. So this is kind of what we're going to use as the basis for your healing roadmap. And so let's go. So this first section up at the top, we have on the left-hand side, we have retelling your story. This first section is called antecedents. And this is basically, we're going to answer a question in these 3 boxes below the retelling your story. How did you get to where you are today? That's what we're trying to find out. What things contributed to or are still contributing to your current state of health? At least the things that you don't want. So the first box is antecedents. And antecedents is just a name for genetic or acquired conditions that predispose you to a disease or pattern of illness. So basically, all it is it's what your parents gave you. There's nothing you can do about this. It's nothing you did wrong. It's just what you were born with. And so let me just skip that. So some examples of antecedents are your family history, whether it's a family history of cancer, you might want to write that down in this section. History of cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, alcoholism, anything, diabetes, anything that is the family history. So if you know that um, your mom had any stressors before delivery. So that could be things like if she was a smoker, if she was exposed to alcohol or drugs or exposed to toxins. Personally, when I was pregnant, I was exposed to a high amount of mold. I did not know at the time that I'm highly mold sensitive. And so my son Paxton actually came early. He was a preemie because my body was just rejecting that mold. So anything like mold exposure, toxins, infections, any infections that your mom had, or any dental problems that your mom might have had. Or if your mom was a heavy consumer of processed foods, foods with preservatives, foods with dyes. Those are all things that you want to put in this area. Also, if you were bottle fed in the early stages of life instead of being breastfed, these are all things that can contribute to your symptoms that you experience today. So I'm going to give you a moment just to write some of those things down. This is not a complete list, but so any family history of disease or any stressors your mom was exposed to either before delivery or anything that happened to you right after delivery. So it could be for some people, not most of the women on this call, but it could be circumcision for a boy. It could be getting some shots early the first few days of life. It could be taking a formula with high fructose corn syrup and soy. That was what they tried to give my son when he was in the NICU in his first days of life, and I would not let them do that. And they told me that I was like being like child abuse on him. And so I had to like go and like get all my studies and come back and school the doctors and nurses at the hospital that they're actually doing a disservice to all the kids. But anyway, this is things that you had no control over. So do not worry. We only do what we can only fix what we know. And so we're not blaming your mom. We're not blaming your dad. We're not blaming your ancestors. This is just knowledge for us that we can make sense of what is happening to us now. And don't worry, yeah, so don't think of yourself as like, what did I do, right? It's not their mom's fault. And if you're a mom, it's not your fault if any of these things happened with your children. The truth is that we can only do the best with what we know now. And so now we know better, we can do better. And that's why you're all here tonight. And that's why I love what I do, because I help people know better and do better. And yes, there's going to be a recording of this, and so you can go back and refill this out later. But for any of the moms here tonight, preconception and pregnancy is super important. That time of our life when we are leading up to conceiving and during our pregnancy, that is like we're learning more and more. We've seen studies where if a mom has poor nutrition during pregnancy, then we can see decades later mitochondrial dysfunction, incidence of type 2 diabetes in the adult child. So not right away, decades later. And so it is an epigenetic regulation of the metabolic genes that is causing diabetes, it's causing things like mitochondrial dysfunction, so low energy. And these are studies that we see where the mom's diet affects the child as they're an adult later in life. And it's really crazy. I have the study listed right there, but really, really important stuff. And now we're seeing research too, what the dad, his lifestyle in the 9 months leading up to conception is also very, very important. While his sperm is being created, that sperm that's contributing to the baby, that sperm is there for 3 to 6 months prior. So we really want to make sure dad is really being healthy in the 9 months leading up to the conception, and the mom as well. So super important. Yes, I didn't put the hours there. I didn't know I put that animation in. Okay, so next section. So you're going to write any of your family history, anything that your mom did during pregnancy or leading up to pregnancy, or if you know that your dad was a smoker while you're being conceived, all that stuff is important. The next box is triggering events. So that's your second section down to the left. And a triggering event, I can't click. This is life events or factors that provoke symptoms of your condition. So this is something that might set off a condition. And so here, for example, there's a study called the ACE study, and it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And what the study does is it shows that certain experiences that we have on children, as children, are actually risk factors for death and illness as adults. And what they mean is that any traumatic experience that you have as a child, not just physical trauma, but like neglect, emotional trauma, this can affect our health. And so we are really living in a tapestry of our history. And it's not saying that we're victims, but wow, to know that and to recognize that childhood trauma can actually affect your health and is actually a risk factor for morbidity, death, is huge. And it really ties so much together. And this is why we really are focused on meditation and mindset and mindfulness in our programs at Glow Natural Wellness, because our emotional health is really tied to our physical health. And it definitely is possible to heal both. And so, in this study, they showed that, there was a strong relationship between exposure to abuse or household dysfunction. This could mean even parents fighting during childhood. And this can cause multiple risk factors for causes of death and dysfunction and chronic disease in the adult child. And so super important. It's not always something you did, it's sometimes something you were exposed to. So, like for many generations, we thought all the mental stuff went into like one bucket, and that is like separate from your physical health. And now we know how much your mental health influences your physical health. And so when we think about the ideas that triggers can affect your health, we have to think about the conscious mind, right? And we plan, we think, our short-term memory, our willpower. This is our conscious mind. And that's like 12%. And the subconscious mind, which is where our emotions and our feelings, that is like the other 88%. So this is our beliefs, our values, our long-term memories, so our intuition, our creativity, our dreams. This is our proactive responses. And so a lot of us were raised with a specific worldview that can influence your health. Sometimes how we think, our habits, you can tweak these things. It takes a little longer. It takes a practice. So a meditation practice, a mindfulness practice, guided meditation, daily affirmations, gratitude journaling. These are all the types of things that some people think are woo-woo, but in reality, they actually do shape our health. And this is really kind of explaining why that is, because the brain that we actively use, that's only 12% of what's going on up there. And the other 88% can actually cause a lot of health issues like anxiety, mood, things like that. So here are some examples of triggers. So triggers, again, these are things that provoke or set off a symptom or a dysfunction. And so we have preterm labor or low birth weight. This is if you're a baby and you were born early. If you've had toxins or mold exposure, that can trigger, for example, having new carpet put in your house can suddenly trigger an asthma attack, or going into a hotel where they're using like those toxic cleaning supplies that can definitely trigger some allergies. And chronic antibiotic use as a child, the hand raised, my mom was trying to help me. Anytime me and my brother would sniffle, she would call her friend who was a doctor and he would prescribe antibiotics. And that is probably really closely tied to a lot of the health issues that I had as a child, but my mom didn't know any better, so we're not blaming her. Um, so if you're a smoker, if you've had drug use, these are other triggers. Injury, so hospitalization, and this could be a bodily injury like an accident. This can also be a psychiatric injury or a psychiatric trauma, like an assault or a rape. These can really trigger this fight or flight in us and can really set off a cascade of hormones and neurotransmitters and immune responses that can really affect our biology. And, and then just regular stressors in your life, like loss of a job or divorce or death of a loved one or getting cheated on. Any of that stuff can definitely be triggers. And so, it can definitely cause a cortisol spike, can cause a cascade of high blood pressure, anxiety, and not sleeping. Um, and that can really set off a whole slew of dysfunction. So this is the part that was retelling your story. This is kind of like your history. And it might take you a little time to think of all these things, and that's okay. But it's really good to kind of put some light on this part of your story and how it affects your physical health. So that brings us to the mediators and perpetrators. So this is the last part of this story. So mediators and perpetrators are biochemical or psychosocial events that contribute to changes in your health or prevent you from being optimally healthy. And so basically they keep the fire going. So you have your trigger that might have provoked something to happen, but then the mediator keeps it going, like doesn't let you get better. They keeps like rubbing the scratch or adding fuel to the fire. So it could be living in a toxic environment. It could be work stress. It could be a bad relationship. It could be that you have air fresheners in your house that have toxic chemicals that you're always breathing in. It could be continuing to eat a food that you know doesn't agree with you. Like you know that you don't do well at gluten, but you just can't stop eating it because it's addictive. It could be smoking cigarettes. It could be something like dental fillings that you don't have removed and they're toxic in your mouth. It could be breast implants. It could be many, many different things that continue to use perfumes or body lotions that have parabens and phthalates and petrochemicals in them. Even some of our prescription drugs and our hormone replacement therapy have forever chemicals and petrochemicals and microplastics. And if we're using it every day, these can be mediators. So medication side effects, definitely one of them. And so, for example, let's say you had a car accident. And so that would be a trigger. But then you went on vacation and you were in this kind of bubble where people were feeding you and you were having lattes whenever you want and they were cooking for you. And so you had some time to recover because like everyone was taking care of you. But let's say you had that car accident, but then you had to get all five of your kids to school every day, and you're a single mom and you had to go to work and you could not even rest. And then your grandma dies, all these things kind of happen. And then it's a completely different story. You're not going to heal as well as the person that was well taken care of. And so some of these mediators and perpetuators are things that kind of keep the disease going. And so it could be something that you're doing on a daily basis. It could just be just part of your environment of chronic stress. And so those are your mediators and perpetuators. And it could be something as crazy as where you live. So here's an example. Most people don't even realize this, but you might live in a selenium deficient state. So this map is a little bit old, but it's probably even more. I mean, there might be more deficient states now, but I lived in Vermont for a while. Now I live in Florida, both deficient states. I grew up in New York, also a deficient state. And so what that means is that despite all the nature that we have, especially in Vermont and all the farms, zero selenium in the soil. So look on the map and see if your state is red or yellow. And if that's true, even if you're eating organic and you're eating all your fruits and vegetables, even planting your own organic seeds, you have no selenium, which means that you are at risk for hypothyroidism. It's on the rise in many of these red states. really have you have no selenium, so you are likely going to have more incidence of thyroid disease. And it's true. People that live, and when I say red states, I don't mean Republican states. I mean states that are colored red on the map for selenium deficiency. That means that you just don't have access to one of the vital nutrients for your thyroid. And so if you are, in California right now, at least you may have fires, but at least you have some selenium in your soil, so you can be happy about that. But this is something that is a mediator that you really might not even know about. So there's so many things that we're not aware of, cell towers and EMFs and things like that, that can be mediators of your condition and you don't even realize. Here's another one. And this is kind of like a geeky slide, but just look at the red and the blue writing. So this is fatty acids. So if you eat soy oil or canola oil or corn oil, it's going to go down a pathway and it's going, or conventional animal fats also, they turn into arachidonic acid. And arachidonic acid is highly inflammatory. However, if you replace those with flaxseed, with hemp, with walnut, with avocado oil, these types of oils, or like fish oils and algae, that is not going to turn, it's going to be EPA and DHA, and that is going to lead to less inflammation. And so you don't want to eat the soybean oil, the canola oil, the corn oil, the conventional animal fats. They all get metabolized into that arachidonic acid, which is circled in red. And arachidonic acid is angry, it's inflammatory, and it will find any little part in your body and it will just add a little bit of inflammation there. And so I like to think of arachidonic acid as this little guy. And that's kind of when you can picture in your brain when someone's offering you vegetable oils. And you don't want that to happen in your body. Another thing is years back when I was, just trying to heal on my own, I knew there was something to giving up gluten, but because I didn't do well with gluten. And so I went gluten-free and I felt a lot better. And there's also many patients that I worked with over the years that they weren't clinically celiac. They didn't have celiac disease, but they were reacting to gluten. And so once they removed it from their body, they felt so much better. And I remember I was working with two ladies and they were in the late 70s and they were from Sweden. And they really loved their bread and their cheese, but they were also experiencing a lot of inflammation. And they had arthritis, and that was really, really bothering them. And so I talked them into going 30 days without gluten, without conventional animal fats, and without cheese. Well, I'll tell you, they thought I was kidding. Like, there is no way. Like, what are we going to eat? There is no way that we're going to do that. And well, I saw them 5 weeks later after giving them this challenge, and they told me they only cheated twice in 30 days. And they were also shocked that their pain was pretty much gone. It's not completely gone, but it was pretty much gone. And they agreed to keep the gluten and the dairy out. And they were really able to do so many more things with this less pain. And it's funny because they were a bit embarrassed to tell me that they cheated twice. Like they were like, oh, we messed up. We're so sorry. And I thought it was amazing that they only had twice in 30 days because gluten and dairy were just so much a part of their lifestyle. But I'm not here to judge. Like I here to give you the information to let you know what your body is doing and possibly why. And I think it's important to know what food signals your body is getting so that you can balance out with different signals so that your body can get back in balance. And whether you are perfect with your diet or whether you do your best and sometimes you have a weak moment, it's okay as long as like most of the time or more times than not, you're making the choices that help your body to feel good. And sooner or later, there's going to be that feedback loop that's going to tell you that, well, every time I do this, I get a positive response. And so I want to do more of that. And every time I do that, I get that negative response and it hurts. And then your body is going to naturally have an aversion to those things that hurt you once you really understand what they are and you put the pieces together. So, examples of mediators. Let's see, we got relationship stressors, single parenthood, divorce, isolation, job stressors, things like pressure changes in the environment, or the bariatric barometric pressure changes. Some people are really sensitive to that. I personally am not, but there's some people who are. So that's something you can think about. Nutrient imbalances, sensitivities, things like the dairy and the glutens. For some people, it's histamine foods. Um, there's lots of different sensitivities that people might have. It can be a structural imbalance. So it could be like one leg shorter than the other and you're always off balance. It could be scoliosis. That can definitely cause some inflammation or some pressure in different parts of your body. Drug, alcohol, smoking use, exposure to toxins in your environment. You'll see some of these were also triggers. So it's okay to have things in multiple places. And of course, processed foods, artificial colors, sweeteners. We just got rid of that one red dye, but there's still many, many other dyes that we need to get rid of. But so they're in our foods, they're in our drinks. And so we really have to watch and try to be as clean as possible what we're putting in our body, especially if you are linking how you're feeling to these issues. So I'm going to take a few questions right now. Does anyone have questions about this one little section that we went over? We're going to go over it all. We're about 50 minutes in, so I'm going to try to go a little faster. But let me see if you guys have questions. Let's see. Is it okay to drink organic soy milk? As long as you feel good with your organic soy milk, I do not have a problem with organic soy, but soy oil is generally GMO and not really good for you. Awesome. So people are saying it's clear, no more red dye. Yes, thank God. But it's not going to go into effect right away, and we still have red number 40, which I think is just as bad. So I'm celebrating, but not yet. I think that it's good that the conversation is starting. Absolutely. All right. So real quick, we're going to go on to the next section, but first 10 chair squats. So all you're going to do is you're going to get up. You are going to, oh wait, let me stop my share for a second. All right, so we're going to get up, our chair, we're going to sit down, and we're going to get up 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it with me. I hope I'm not doing it by myself. 7, I think I'm sounding 8, 9, 10. All right, shake it out. All right, there we go. I gotta share my screen again. Hopefully I can do it without causing too much problem. Okay, here we go. All right, so that is just to get your blood flowing, as I do not want sitting and watching this presentation to be one of your mediators. So we're not gonna spend too much time there. Shake it out, drink some water. I'm drink a little water. So, all right, so we already did the questions. So I went through that. All right, so we went through mapping your medical history. Now we're going to go on to decoding your symptoms. So this is the big part in the middle that this is everyone's favorite part. All right, so, oops. All right, here we go. So this is going to be the big part in the middle. So we're going to start in the white section, the physiology and the function, organizing your clinical imbalances. This is where we look at your symptoms and your history, and we assign these things to one or more buckets that are associated with a body system. So that our systems-based approach. So just like we did with JD, the lady with the gut issues in the beginning, where I gave you that example, you might notice, or you might have noticed when I was showing you her form, that she had some things were in more than one category, and that's okay. So we are going to go ahead and do our best here. It's not going to be complete. Definitely in our Glow Protocol program, this is where we kind of work through all these symptoms, and you really get to dive a little deeper into each of these. But for our purposes tonight, we're really going to work our way around the circle. We're going to start with assimilation, and we're going to work our way around, and you're going to be really to see on paper where your dysfunctions lie, and then we can match you up with a dietary strategy. All right, so assimilation. This is moving things from external into your internal environment. This is digestion, absorption, your microbiome, and respiration. So this is basically when you're eating stuff, how it becomes part of you. It's also breathing air and your environment, anything that's coming from the outside and going inside. So interesting fact. during your lifetime, 25 tons of food is passed through your body. So that's a lot of food, especially if it has the red dyes in it, or it has preservatives, or it has high fructose corn syrup. And so it's a lot of things going in, and you can always choose to put something healthier in your body. What we assume is that our GI system is just working, and whenever we put it in, it's going to be able to handle. And that is not quite true. We can't assume that anything we put in our body's going to be able to process. And so there's so many things in our food supply now that were not in our food supply years ago and are never supposed to be in our bodies. So this is the reason why a lot of us have a condition called leaky gut syndrome. And we're going to talk about this in a second. You can see here there's quite a few triggers that can cause leaky gut: dietary proteins, low stomach acid, low enzymes, antibiotics, infections, blood sugar imbalances, pregnancy, stress, menopause, toxicity, and parasites. These are all things that can cause leaky gut. And a lot of times we have these issues with we might have GERD or acid reflux or low stomach acid, and we get put on a proton pump inhibitor, PPI. And I'm going to tell you that that is not the right approach, and it's even doing the opposite of what your body wants to do. Now, I'm not going to go over every medication that we get put on, but I just want to give you an example using a protein pump inhibitor. So stomach acid, really important because it's supposed to be a pH of 1.8 to 3.2. We need to be in that ballpark to digest all the proteins that you eat. So your stomach creates protease, which is an enzyme that helps to break down proteins. And it does that when it's at the perfect pH between that 1.8 and that 3.2. And so you're able to break down the proteins into amino acid building blocks. Your body knows how to do that. And so if you have a very high pH, then that's inactive. And that protease, the enzyme that breaks down protein, never gets activated and it stays dormant. And so you end up having regular intact protein lying in your gut, not breaking down, and your body doesn't know what to do with it. And so it's sensing that there's this foreign protein in your body, and your immune system starts to attack that protein, which we'll talk about in a second. Something called molecular mimicry happens, and we'll talk about why this is important. So you'll see that when you're put on a protein pump inhibitor, you're basically stopping the normal response of the acid, and you end up shifting that pH to be more alkaline. That's why we're seeing people now with all sorts of weird autoimmune diseases or weird bone infections after they're put on these PPIs when they've been on them for a long time. And there are ways around this in natural medicine and more natural ways to help people digest if they have acid reflux. And if you're anyone who's been put on a protein pump inhibitor or been on one for a long time, you should really ask your doctor or consider working with a natural practitioner who can help you, because it's not something that your body knows what to do with. Protein pump inhibitors, these are things like Nexium, brand name Prilosec, Protonix, not Zantac or Tums. Those are antacids, but protein pump inhibitors actually shut down the acid pump. So it inactivates the ability to make protease, that enzyme. So that undigested protein is going to create that immune response. It's going to have the molecular mimicry, which can cause your immune system to tag its own cells and respond to the undigested protein. And this can be a trigger for autoimmunity. So leaky gut, food sensitivities, these are all results of this protein pump inhibitor. So if you have heartburn, leaky gut, acid reflux, and you put on a PPI, write that in the assimilation section. But anything, if you have any acid reflux, any indigestion, any GERD, you're going to put that in the assimilation section. And we're going to have more things for the assimilation section here. So what you're going to put under assimilation is if you have a history of being bottle fed, you're going to put that there. If you have acid reflux, gas, bloating, if you've used a PPI, if you have GERD, if you have irritable bowel syndrome or discomfort after you eat, If you get constipation or diarrhea on a pretty regular basis, not if you've ever had constipation or diarrhea, don't put it down, but just if you get constipation or diarrhea, really important. If you've had chronic antibiotic exposure, meaning if you've been on antibiotics several times in your lifetime, if you regularly use NSAIDs, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, this is things like Motrin, ibuprofen, Aleve, that is going to really be an issue for assimilation. If you have carb cravings, if you eat fast, that is a kind of a clue that there might be something going on with assimilation. And if you see undigested food appearing in your stool, these are all things that we're going to put into that assimilation section on the sheet. Awesome. So here are some reasons. Again, I'm just going to finish up on the PPI. I'm not going to go over all of the medications, but this is just one that I see so many people put on and one that no one should be put on. So one of my patients, Barbara, was on a PPI for years, and we were able to add some digestive enzymes to her system, natural digestive enzymes, and wean her off the PPI. Then we added in some hydrochloric acid to help with digestion. And she was so happy, and she did not get headaches because the PPIs were giving her headaches. And so why am I harping on PPIs so much? Because they're so overprescribed and they cause a ton of damage, and they cause a ton of autoimmunity and bone disease and just so much problem, and they cost money, and there's so many side effects. And so yes, the good news is that you can reduce your need for PPIs by making lifestyle changes, losing some weight, avoiding trigger foods, don't eat late at night, and also elevating the head of your bed. You can put it up on risers, and that can help you not to have that reflux. But the digestive enzymes and weaning off the PPI, we do have a whole protocol for that inside the GLOW protocol, where we actually will gradually wean you off, and then we add in the digestive enzymes and the HCl, and it can make a world of difference and just add years to your life. Okay, so that was assimilation. Now we're going to move on to defense and repair. And again, just stating that this is not every single thing that can ever be an assimilation, but I'm giving you the most common so that you have something to write down. So defense and repair is the danger and damage signals that show up as autoimmunity, inflammation, or infection. So this is basically the body trying to notify us that there's something wrong. So defense and repair is basically what the body does, right? It's trying to defend and repair you. So let's say you get an injury and you feel some pain. Then you are going to have your body activate some white blood cells, and that's going to release that arachidonic acid. We all remember him, right? That angry inflammatory chemical. Then you're going to see some macrophages, some neutrophils. You're going to have a production of prostaglandins and recruitment of your neutrophils. And all of this is because all these little signals and chemicals are cytokines that are telling your body that there's something going on, that there's stress, and that your body wants to know this because it's going to take care of that inflammation or that pain or that trauma. And the problem is you get confused as a result, and it can actually trigger a response when you're eating food. So in our typical American diet, if we eat like a Big Mac and fries, they actually found this study where they asked a group of people to eat the same meal, and it ended up being a mixed fat meal from McDonald's, 910 calories. It was a sausage egg McMuffin with hash browns. Everyone had the same meal, and they measured their blood before, 1 hour after, and then 3 hours after the meal. And what they found is that inflammation markers, just regular inflammation markers that we measure in conventional medicine, they found measurable increases in their inflammatory markers just 1 hour after eating the meal. And the problem is they actually stayed elevated 3 hours later. And for some people, up to 8 hours, their inflammatory markers were still high. So what's that telling us is that if you have one bad meal, that's fine. But if you are eating processed packaged food multiple meals a day, you are staying in that chronic inflammatory state. And so what they found in the study was they asked when the people ended up eating the same meal from McDonald's, they measured their blood before, like I said, and then what they actually found was that um, the increase would just stay like and never go away. So they would just stay in that state of chronic inflammation. They never return to baseline. So that is really, really scary because our CRP, C-reactive protein, that is like the marker of inflammation and that can stay. So it can take 8 hours or more to go back to baseline. So if you're eating fast food or even school lunches, like your kids are eating school lunches or processed food at home that comes in boxes and bags, you're basically never letting your body get a break from that inflammation. Your body is always inflamed and then it's getting more inflamed and more inflamed. And so that's why we have kids that are like developing chronic conditions like diabetes early in life. And so it's they might not feel it right away, but decades later, it's going to be a problem. So this is why we really have to be careful. And it's also one of the ways that leaky gut happens, right? If you're not familiar with leaky gut, it's basically where we have the single cell layer of our membrane, our mucosal membrane in our gut. It's just all these cells that are closely packed together, like one's packed right next to the other, and the connection where they're touching each other, that's called tight junctions. And when we have inflammation, when we have leaky gut, these tight junctions, they kind of start to separate. And it's interesting fact, babies are born with leaky guts. This is why they need colostrum. This is why they need IgG immunoglobulins in breast milk to seal their gut before we introduce solid foods. It's also why in adults we supplement like with things like IgG immunoglobulins and colostrum to help seal the gut when you have leaky gut. So these are some of the things that we use as tools, but really interesting when babies, they already have a leaky gut. That's why we don't feed them certain things until a certain age, once their gut has been able to kind of produce those tight junctions and seal. So examples of defense and repair. If you're the type of person who has ever had chronic sinusitis or bronchitis, or someone that gets bronchitis every year, that was me for a very long time. Luckily, in the past like 7 years, I have not had bronchitis. If you get chronic allergies or asthma, if your diet has very few omega-3 fatty acids in it, if you eat a lot of gluten, milk, corn, and soy, these inflammatory foods, if you've had a traumatic event in the past, so things like assault, an accident, things that spike your cortisol, that could actually cause leaky gut. So can super exciting events, like if you are someone that likes to jump out of airplanes or something like that, that can also cause leaky gut, even if it's a good excitement. Um, if you have a high white blood cell count, some people notice that, or if they have high autoantibodies, this could be a sign of leaky gut. Food sensitivity, if you have a lot of things up in the assimilation section, that is actually something that you should write down in this defense and repair session. And then it's interesting because over 80% of our immune system is in the gut. So if you get sick a lot, if you get chronic ear infections, if all those things that you're just sick all the time, that is probably an issue with defense and repair. All right, now we're moving on to energy. And hopefully you have some energy left because we've been going for a little while, but we're going to move through this. Awesome. So energy production is how your body uses oxygen to create energy, or ATP, which is energy in the mitochondria. It's like our currency. It's like our money. So ATP is our energy source. And you probably learned about ATP back in like high school. So it's all coming back now. So our mitochondria, you probably heard that they're powerhouses of the cell. But if you remember from biology class in high school, that this mitochondria, they're everywhere in your body. And so what is really interesting is that our brain uses the most energy in our body. Our muscles use almost equal amount as the brain. And then we have our fat tissues use 4% energy, our heart uses 9%, our liver 21, our kidneys 8%. So it's kind of interesting how much It is used by the brain, and then our eyes, our ears, our pancreas, our bowels, our nerves, and all those things make up 16%. Kind of cool. And so that's where we need it most, our brain and our muscle. We do use it other places, but interesting enough, the way you can tell if somebody has a mitochondrial issue is if they have brain fog and if they're really achy and tired. I call it brain drain. And a lot of people have some type of mitochondrial issue. And if we can help feed the good mitochondria, if we can help support the mitochondria, you can actually get better in like 30 days. You can actually turn mitochondrial dysfunction around very, very quickly. And so, under lack of oxygen or hypoxic stress, is what it's called, your mitochondria can actually regenerate at 3,000 per cell. And so basically, your body wants to be healthy. It knows what to do. This is why marathon runners, when they're training, they basically are creating this hypoxic stress in their muscles. And it's happening on purpose because it's making their body have to make more mitochondria. So if you actually did a biopsy on a marathon runner's leg before training, you'd see it's packed with mitochondria. And so just starting to move now, if you're starting to exercise, if you're going for walks, if you're starting to go to the gym, you're going to actually start to make more mitochondria. It's available to all of us. You don't have to run a marathon. You can simply practice deep breathing. Because did you know that the more oxygen you have, the more mitochondria you make? So oxygen is needed for your mitochondria to produce. It's kind of how your body makes energy. And so deep breathing could actually be really helpful because that's going to help the mitochondria in your brain. So if you remember toxin exposures, things like smoking, pollution, inflammation, EMFs, metabolic byproducts, chemicals, all these things, these all have a big impact on your mitochondrial health. And your mitochondria become less efficient and they start to make more mistakes. So as we age, it gets harder. And you're exposed to more and more things accumulate. But knowing that you guys are here, you know that next time you eat something, what's on the end of your fork can actually help your mitochondria. So it's not all doom and gloom just because you're getting older. Um, and so mitochondria can also clean themselves out. So if you have damaged mitochondria, they have something called cell death or mitosis to get rid of the bad guys, get rid of the ones that aren't working. Kind of like in The Godfather, how they kiss you and they know you're going to die. That's what the mitochondria do. They're basically helping the cells that are sick end their life. They recognize that they're not doing what they need to do, and they're able to program those cells to die so they're not causing any more issues. And the problem is when you have defective mitochondria and you're not able to clean out and replace the bad mitochondria with good mitochondria. And this can cause things like dementia, especially in the brain. Dementia is highly associated with mitochondrial dysfunction. And so we want to make sure that we're fueling our body, we're getting plenty of oxygen, we're getting exercise, we're putting our body in the state of hypoxia, oxygen deprivation, and then we're giving it more oxygen, and then we are not being exposed to all these damaging things. And so that is how we're going to have healthy mitochondria. And so what do we put down in the energy section? So this is where we're going to put things like if you've had neurocognitive problems or a family history of brain issues, things like ADHD and ADD, autism, Parkinson's, dementia, concussions, brain injuries, things like that. If you have like this pain, if you can't focus, that's the pain brain drain. If you're achy and you can't focus and you just can't wake up in the morning, if you are not refreshed after sleep, if you breathe shallow all the time, if you just don't take deep breaths on a regular basis, if your things like your A1C and your lipid peroxidase markers on tests are high, and if you're exposed to toxins, so if you use prescription medications, put that down. pesticides, alcohol, foods that aren't organic, smoking, conventional cleaning products, conventional personal care products, most hormone replacement therapy, if you're not using 100% plant-based, toxin-free products, which most of them are not. All these things can cause mitochondrial stress or imbalance in your energy production system. All right, we kind of moved fast through that section. We still have a few more sections to go. So let me see how people are doing. We still have a lot of you here, which is awesome. So I love that. Um, how do diet pills affect the gut? Depends on what diet pills there are. There's so many different things that can fall under diet pills. Sometimes if there's just herbs, not going to be that much of a problem. If you're doing like, I don't know, sometimes like if you're talking about like Ozempic, like the injections, the jury's still out. There are some benefits to those peptides that can help the gut, but sometimes if you're not nourishing the body, it actually can hurt it. So yes. Yes, there's going to be a recording for sure, so you do not have to worry. Um, We will send out the recording via email, and I'm also live streaming this on YouTube. So you can kind of, if you don't want to wait for me to post the recording, it will be on YouTube as soon as we finish. They'll kind of upload right then, so you can always go to my YouTube channel. But I will send out the replay to everybody who registered within 24 hours. So and then also it's no secret that we're going to be talking about our super low pricing that we have right now on our Glow Protocol program. So basically what you do with all this information, we're going to guide you through it every week on weekly coaching calls and a whole library of all my natural medicine protocols and really diving deep into each system. This is like a little kind of a little I don't know, glimpse into what we do in the Glow Protocol, but this is the kind of like stuff that we did get into. Can you have too many supplements each day? Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have too many supplements, especially if your supplements have things like magnesium stearate and some fillers in them, which are a lot of supplements do. Or like a lot of like rice fillers and things like that. So you just want to look at that. I'm a fan of taking only the supplements that you need. I have like 5 supplements that I take every day because they make me feel good, and I can tell when I'm not taking them, I don't feel the same. So those are my supplements. And sometimes I'll add something in if I know that I didn't get enough protein. I might add in a protein powder or something like that. But on a regular basis, I try to get all my nutrition from my food. But I travel a lot, and so sometimes I'll need to supplement with things, and so that's okay. Supplements are fine, but you don't want supplements to be your whole plan for healing. That's definitely not what we want to do. All right, I'm going to move on. I will check the questions again in a little bit. Okay, so we still have quite a few more sections to go. We're going to move up to biotransformation and elimination. The rest of it will go a little faster because I'm going to do, I explained kind of a lot already. So here we go. We're going to flow through this. All right, biotransformation and elimination. This, I don't know if you guys remember I Love Lucy, but this is kind of what biotransformation and elimination is, detox. So it's where your internal substances move to external, so getting things out. This involves your gastrointestinal system, your liver, and your kidneys. And so really important. It's kind of like when something goes wrong with biotransformation elimination, you realize like, holy shit, what do I do with all this stuff? I gotta pack it wherever it is. And that's kind of like what happens with the liver and the gut when it can't keep up with all the toxins. So when your liver is overloaded, when it's exposed to all these free radicals and all these chemicals all the time, it really can't do what it knows how to do, and that's to get rid of things that shouldn't be in the body. And so we all have exposures to, estrogens, biotics, parabens, phthalates, forever chemicals, glyphosate. We're exposed to so many things just in our environment, but also in things that we use, makeup, gasoline, there's all the petrochemicals, cleaning supplies. Like there's some really bad ones and there's ones that aren't so bad, but they all add up and can cause a lot of problems in your body. So glyphosate, one of the worst, basically disrupts our gut bacteria, suppresses our CYP450 enzymes. These are the enzymes that are important for detoxing all of the dangerous things in your body. So basically interferes with your detoxification system, and that can cause basically damage to your body, damage to your cells, lead to cancer because your body is not able to clean itself out. And so let me just kind of show you a little thing. Our body knows what to do, right? Our body takes in all this stuff, puts it on their conveyor belt, and it pauses to kind of make some intermediates. Basically, you have your phase one and your phase two detox. So basically, we have hormones in our body, and when our hormones get used up, they need to be packaged up and they need to be excreted. So when you're done using your estrogen, you want it to go away. You don't want it to hang around all the used up estrogen. And so basically we have this little system, these little gears that turn. Um, you're going to have your phase one. This is going to be where you're going to start detoxifying like drugs and food additives and household pollutants and things like that. And then your body is going to need some nutrients, some copper, some selenium, which we were deficient in. It's going to need things like bioflavonoids and vitamin C, vitamin E. So all these things really help to basically package up these intermediate toxins and get them what we call conjugated or packaged up to get them out of the body. And so that's kind of what's happening there. Let's see. I can't. There we go. Okay. And so, basically, when you're not able to package things up, especially things like estrogen. So, for example, let's say your body's, you're using your estrogen and you package the estrogen up and get it out of the body, but you start drinking some alcohol. Now your liver's like, oh my God, hold on. We gotta stop that estrogen detoxification because we have this poison that we just put in our body. And so basically, it leaves the estrogen hanging while your body tries to deal with the alcohol. This is why women who drink have higher rates of breast cancer and estrogen related cancers because it's not the estrogen that's causing the problem, it's the alcohol because it's making your body have poison stay in the body longer. So it makes sense to rethink your choices. So this is why we see a lot of people do these detox cleanses and these prepackaged cleanses out there that are mass production. These can be dangerous because you are basically not coordinating the phases of the detox. So you have your phase one, and then you need you need to package up, and then free radicals get made. And then you have to package up and then get it out. And then you have phase three, which is the excretion. And so when you're just doing these detox, you're just doing the excretion and you're not really doing the other steps. And so it's really important to make sure that we're doing the other steps. And nutrition can be the solution to your inner body pollution. It's like a little mantra. So basically, what they found in the study was they took 15 women, they put them on vitamin C supplementation for 2 months, and they found that they significantly decreased their toxins in their body burden from things that were causing um, from their cleaning products and their other exposures, they actually significantly reduce their toxicity in their body. And so, how is your elimination factory working? What I'm talking about is your poop. So, this is the Bristol stool scale. Kids love it when I talk about the Bristol stool scale. They love talking about pooping. They love talking about pooping out snakes, right? But what you'll see is like type 4, the sausage or the snake. This is what your poop is supposed to look like. And everyone cycles through some of the stages. So sometimes you might, have like a 3 and then sometimes a 4, sometimes a 2 if you eat something weird. But you want to get to the point where most of your bowel movements are the number 4. It should not be painful. It should not cause cramping. You shouldn't have any issues like bloating. Should be easy to make a snake, right? And so how can you rate yourself? You don't have to like post this in the chat, but what would you rate yourself on a regular basis? Where are you on the Bristol Stool Scale? If you're not a 4, you want to write that in your biotransformation and elimination section. And so we're going to talk about what you're going to write in that section. So if you have exposures to pesticides or PCBs, if you have heavy metal exposure, things like mercury fillings, things like aluminum in your deodorants or aluminum cans, power lines, if you live near power lines or a cell tower, if you use Wi-Fi in your house a lot, and you don't shut it off at night, and we're all exposed to Wi-Fi, so everyone can probably write that down. But if you're exposed to lots of Wi-Fi on a regular basis, then that's going to be in this section. Chronic constipation, diarrhea, IBS. This is going to be in this section, also the elimination section. If you have fatty liver disease, if you have elevated GGT, which is a liver enzyme, if you do not sweat, so if you are not sweating or exercising, so if you are not every day doing something that makes you sweat, then you can put that in this section because that is a negative on your detox. So this could be going in the sauna you can do. This could be doing cardiovascular exercise, could be having vigorous sex, whatever it is you want to do to sweat every day. That is good. If you have chronic kidney disease, if you have chronic alcohol use, so if you're having a 1 drink a day for women, that is considered chronic alcohol use and it is very detrimental to your health. If you're exposed to nail polish, you work in a hair salon or a nail salon, if you are someone that renovates furniture on a regular basis, you're exposed to all those fumes. This is going to be written down in the biotransformation elimination section, or if you have frequent dental work. Those are all going to go in this area. Awesome. All right, so first we're going to take a little break, roll your shoulders, do some bends, stretch out. You can stand up if you want. And we'll do a little 4, 7, 8 breathing. So we're just going to do this twice just to kind of get some mitochondrial growth here happening. So we're going to inhale through our nose for a count of 4. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold that breath for a count of 7 or as long as you can get. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you're going to exhale through your mouth slowly for a count of 8. We're going to do it one more time. I'm not going to count this time. I'm going to do it with you. So we're going to go inhale, hold, exhale. And you can do this, keep doing this while I'm talking, but this is going to help to increase your mitochondrial health. All right, I'm going to keep going because we've been going for a long time and I don't want to keep everybody so late tonight, but we are getting so much information here and I'm going to teach you how to use this information too. So don't worry, you're writing a lot of stuff, or maybe you're not writing a lot of stuff and that's good. Maybe you have one section that has a lot of stuff and that's going to really make it easier for you. But if you have a lot of stuff in all the areas, that just means that you have a lot of room for improvement. And there's lots of stuff that we can do. So the next section on here is transport. So transport is internal movement of substances in your body. So we are talking about your blood, we are talking about lymph. These are all things that are moving throughout your body. So for good transportation systems, we want to avoid foods with added sugar. Most of you know this, but high consumptions of food rich in added sugar, like sugar sweetened vegetables, or sugar sweetened vegetables, sugar sweetened beverages. I don't know why I said vegetables. That's what you should be eating. So like candy, cookies, cakes, things like that. This is positively related to a high atherogenic lipid profile, which means that you're going to have high triglycerides and small sticky LDL, which is the bad type of cholesterol. So you may have heard that HDL is good and LDL is bad. Well, the truth is small sticky LDL is bad. And so that's what you really have to worry about. And this eating higher amounts of processed sugar is what causes that small sticky LDL. So you want to definitely not do that. Um, Things that cause high blood pressure is another issue in the transport section. So being overweight, getting older, which we can't do anything about, um, excessive alcohol intake, diet high in salt, excessive caffeine intake, family history of hypertension. These are all things that you can write in the transport section. And then signs of poor blood circulation. These are also things you can put in the transportation section. So we've got numbness in the hands and feet. We've got persistent fatigue and tiredness, sudden hair loss, swelling of your lower extremities. It's like your feet. Varicose veins is one that you can put down there. If you have skin discoloration, if you have cold hands and feet, if you have erectile dysfunction, which women not so much, weak immune system, slow healing. So if you have like a wound, it never really heals, or if you get sick and it takes you forever to get better, you're gonna put that in this section. And if you have tightness or heaviness in your chest. So those are all things we're gonna put into the transportation section. Again, hypertension, chronic swelling, lymphedema, high cholesterol, especially high small LDL, any problems with blood sugar imbalances, elevated A1C, elevated glucose levels, history of gestational diabetes, you can put that down. Any signs of cardiovascular inflammation, like a high CRP, increased waist circumference. So if you are gaining weight around your midsection, if you have poor circulation, like cold hands and feet, or your feet kind of fall asleep or your arm falls asleep a lot, and if you have a diet high in saturated fats, that could be an issue. Not, it's not an issue for everybody. It's more an issue if it is high in conventionally raised saturated fats. All right. Having trouble with my clicker today. All right, now we're going to move on to communication. Everyone's going to have some stuff to put here, I guarantee it. So communication is your body's signaling systems. This is your neurotransmitters and your hormones. And because my audience tends to be women in perimenopause, menopause, or somewhere around that age frame of over 30 years old, we're all going to have a lot of nice stuff to put in this section. So basically, the chemical messages that tell your body what to do, and your body tells them when they're needed. That is the communication system, our hormones and our neurotransmitters. So there's a guy named Hans Ley, and he discovered the stress adaptation syndrome. And what that is that back in the cave days, there was these anxious people that kept the herd alive because they remembered that there was a tiger down the road, and you don't want to go anywhere there's a tiger. So basically, they get this tiger or predator, and they know that if they get closer, they're gonna have to run and burn off a lot of energy, and that could be stressful. And so they kind of kept the group of people like far away from the tiger. And so basically, that is kind of how this chart works out. So you have stressor occurs, that's phase one. And so you have this alarm reaction. And then phase two is how you cope with the stressor. So that's your body's resistance to how long it takes before exhaustion sets in. And then phase three is when you can't handle the stressor anymore. And that is where you have exhaustion. And so back in the cave days, if there was someone that was stressed out all the time, they would probably get exhausted after a while, and then you have someone new be the one who takes over. But your body can only handle so much stress, and after being under stress for a long time, your resilience is going to go down. And that is what we call the general adaptation syndrome. So the goal is to have the stressor occur, have the alarm, and then recover from it faster. And so vitamin D is a hormone. Most of us don't think of it as a hormone. But a hormone is something that is produced in one part of the body and then moves and does its job somewhere else. So one hormone that's low no matter how much I test is vitamin D. Vitamin D is produced in the skin after sunlight exposure. It's also We get it in other parts of the body as well. And even though it's called a vitamin, it's actually a hormone. So vitamin D is something that if you're low in vitamin D, that's something that's going to be an issue in the communication system. So here is my stress cascade analogy with Legos. So I have a little boy, Paxton, who's 9 years old. And so basically, our hormones are made from cholesterol. Those are our blocks. So that's like when you get your Lego kit, you get the cholesterol. So we have our cholesterol, and basically we have our little building blocks, and we can make a little bus that's progesterone. We can make a little motorcycle that's aldosterone. We can make a plane that's testosterone. We can make a cool little car that's going to be estradiol, and it's composed of two other little cars, estrone and estriol. And so the estradiol and estriol are the bigger ones, and estrone is the littler one, but those are all the estrogens. And then we have our DHEA, which are your little construction trucks. Now, if you are under stress, then stress is going to take all the wheels. And so you're not going to have any wheels on your bus. You're not going to have any wheels on your motorcycle. You're not going to have any wheels on your cars if there's cortisol. So cortisol is going to take all the wheels away from you. And so that's what happens when you're under stress. It messes with your hormones. Your hormones cannot do their job. So that's kind of how I explain the stress cascade. Hopefully that makes sense. That's why you want to keep stress lower. It's going to affect so many things in your body. It's going to increase inflammation, but it's also going to affect how your hormones work and how they do their jobs. So here's your cortisol patterns. So we all have stress, and actually cortisol is actually a good thing. It helps to wake us up in the morning. So a healthy and fit cortisol pattern is going to be in the morning, like your cortisol is going to be low. It's going to have a little spike at 3 a.m. It's going to dip back down. Then it's going to rise around waking time. It's going to get up to its highest peak, and then it's going to gradually decline. And as you kind of like relax in the evening, it's going to go down so you can go to sleep. Now, there is the adrenal fatigue pattern, which a lot of people experience. This is a circadian rhythm that's a little bit dysregulated. And so this is stage 2. You see that cortisol blip in the middle of the night is a little bit higher. So that's where at 3 o'clock in the morning where you might wake up. So you maybe can't get right back to sleep. And so this person, they're going to be a little more tired in the morning, and it takes them a lot longer to get to their peak, and they never get as high as they should. And so this is the person that's drinking the Red Bull and the coffee, and they're stopping at Starbucks again in the afternoon because they never really woke up. And then they kind of crash in the evening a little bit more. So they have a more, it's not a gradual crash, it's like a sudden crash. So they're kind of like tired and wired. When they go to bed, their cortisol is high, like they're waked up. It's on the wrong end of the path. Like the healthy pattern, your cortisol goes up in the morning because it wakes you up, and then it gradually declines. But in the adrenal fatigue, cortisol stays lower. It's slowly going up throughout the day, but it's highest right before you want to go to bed, which is not a good pattern. And then when you have extreme adrenal fatigue, you're basically your highest cortisol is in the middle of the night, and then you are flatlined almost for the rest of the day. And so that you really can't focus, you can't do anything, you're exhausted all the time. And so this can really be an issue. And cortisol can also influence your intestinal permeability and your gut microbiome. So you can actually see that these sections, even though they're different systems, they are kind of intertwined. And so you can see how the communication system affects the biotransformation system, the assimilation system, the defense and repair system. And it's really important to take note of all these things. So definitely cortisol can cause leaky gut. And so if stress is messing with our hormones, did you know that plants can help? So plants really can affect our mood. And there's some studies that show that flavonoids, which are parts of plants, actually affect your central nervous system. So these plants and the flavonoids will bind to our hormone receptors, like a GABA receptor. And so they found that these flavonoids can actually bind to the GABA receptor, similar to benzodiazepine, which is a really it's a very powerful drug. And what it can do is it can actually make you relax. It can be anticonvulsive. It can be anti-anxiety. And so can really prevent inflammatory processes, can prevent nerve injury, and can also enhance our mood and our overall health. And so plants are wonderful to help to reduce inflammation, help you chill out, and things. The one of the plants I really love for this is ashwagandha. So ashwagandha is great. Also, holy basil is another one that's awesome. So plants can be our friends, and that's why in natural medicine we really do believe that our healing can be found in nature. And so we love thinking about plants for our brain health. And then when we're relaxed and our hormones were balanced, we might have more of a libido. Here's this poor guy. He's reading 101 Sexual Positions and he has his hopes up. He can't wait to try some of these out. But his wife had a rough day at work and she's stressed out and the kids weren't cooperating and she's having some hot flashes. So she's reading 102 escape moves because she does not want to have sex with her husband tonight. And the truth is, men are built differently than women. And so men can go to work, get fired by their boss, get in a fight in the parking lot on the way home. Someone crash into their car right before they park, and they can come in and still be in the mood for sex. Women have the stars kind of have to align. We have to have things going our way. We can't have that cortisol high. It really does dampen our libido a lot more than men. Men's hormones are a little bit more resilient, and women's are a little more susceptible to the um, stress response. So the good news is that hormones can be balanced with natural plant-based hormone replacement therapy, with lifestyle, and we can definitely get back to the more fun bedtime activities. But that was just a joke for you guys. So hopefully you thought that was funny. We've been talking about some deep stuff for a while. So in the communication section, here's what we're going to put. This is a big category because a lot of us have issues with our hormones and our cortisol. It could take a little time to reset things to get them going again. But these are simple things that you can do that don't require a prescription. They just require a little nudging. And natural medicine, really, you need to sometimes allow time where we're going to work together over the course of months or a year, and we're going to spend a lot of time looking at this data, doing a lot of education, really helping to support and nourish your body. And it really is an investment in your health. And sometimes the communication system can take a little bit longer. It's not that immediate response like we saw in the assimilation system. So things you're going to write down in communication: hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, Hashimoto's autoimmune hypothyroid, depression and anxiety, libido issues, pretty much all menopause symptoms, things like PMS, moodiness, menstrual cramps, any kind of hormone-related symptom. Osteoporosis is going to be another one, brain fog, weight gain or weight loss, insulin resistance, glucose abnormalities, low testosterone. So this is going to be things like low self-confidence. You might also notice insomnia is another one. I don't know if I put that up here. That's another big one. Anything like hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, all of that stuff is part of the communication. We actually have a resource on our website under our resources section at Glow Natural Wellness. It is called 99 Symptoms, One Root Cause, and it actually goes through all of the 99 symptoms of menopause hormone decline. And so any of those can go in this section. And so, yeah, but I mean, if you are experiencing a lot of menopausal symptoms, you can kind of fast track with hormone replacement therapy. A lot of you are probably already on hormone replacement therapy. Some of you might be in our Healthy Hormone Club, but that does fast track things a bit. We still have to deal with a lot of the other like stress related, blood sugar related issues. But the root cause of the hormone symptoms is the deficiency in the hormones. So if we can fast track that by replacing the hormones, it does kind of fast track the healing in this system, and also the related systems that are affected by all of these processes. Okay, now we're going to structural integrity. This is the last category in this white section, and we are almost done. So structural integrity is obviously our bones and our ligaments and our muscles, and also our cellular membranes. So actually, we have a pretty high risk of hip fracture in North America. Canada is even worse, and there are many reasons why, and I will show you two of them. Probably one of the most devastating reasons why we have so much fracture, so much bone health issue is a lack of physical activity. Lifestyles in United States and Canada are really geared towards sitting nowadays. And like I mentioned before, many of us are also deficient in vitamin D because we're not getting outside, as well as other nutrient deficiencies because we are eating a lot of processed foods. We are eating a lot of inflammatory foods, and then also isolation and loneliness can definitely be factors as well. So this is a huge problem. We are turning into a society that sits by ourselves on computers, orders DoorDash, orders Instacart, doesn't actually do anything for our food, and we are just eating these hyper palatable, hyper flavored, highly toxic foods and not doing anything to improve our circulation, our elimination, our biotransformation, our assimilation, our transport, or energy production. So some examples of issues in structural integrity or things that are going to cause problems: chronic back or neck pain, history of a motor vehicle accident, surgery that's altered any part of your body, if you have arthritis or bursitis or muscle spasms or weakness, if you have issues with hair, nail, skin issues, osteoporosis, osteopenia, if you have sarcopenia where you just can't gain muscle, these are all things that you can put into structural integrity. All right, so let me see if you have any questions. We have just a little bit more to do, and then we're going to put it all together so that you actually know what to do with all this information. So let me pull up, go in my chat. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Yeah, I will give you guys the slides. So there's lots of, for the detox slides, it has the cofactors that are needed and all the information. I didn't want to dig too far into any one section because we have a lot to go over. Magnesium stearate and supplements, what's bad about it? It is like a filler that is not supposed to be in your body. And if you're taking a lot of supplements that have magnesium stearate, then it's just going to cause issues in the body. So it's not what you want in your products. I would look for similar supplements without the magnesium stearate. It is a crappy ingredient. It does cause a lot of gut issues in a lot of people, and especially if you are taking a supplement every day that has it, or you're taking more than one supplement that has it. It's just a cheaper way to make supplements. And unfortunately, the supplement industry is very profit driven. So it costs us a lot more money to make our supplements without the magnesium stearate. And so that's why a lot of companies don't do it, but the better companies do. Vitamin C, you can use many different forms, ascorbic acid, rose hips. They're all good forms of vitamin C. Awesome. All right, I'm going to go. Yes, there will be a replay, Janice. Oh, well, I'm glad you're in the Healthy Hormone Club. There will be a replay of this. We're going to send it in the email to anyone who registered. So we are moving through, so don't worry. We're going to send the worksheet and the replay together. But stay tuned because we got something exciting I'm going to share in just a little bit. Awesome. So now we're talking about your ninja skill set. And what is that? That is your lifestyle practices. So here we go. We're going to get to the bottom of the form. So this is what I call the foundations of health in our practice. In the Glow protocol, we usually spend the first month really dialing these in before we get into the nitty-gritty of healing protocols for the systems. So before we dive deep into gut, immune, liver, mitochondria, hormones, it's really important to lay the foundation because you have to lay the foundation before you can put the roof on. Now, I know many of you are already living a clean and healthy lifestyle. You watch trainings, you get educated, you're watching webinars, and you're really doing a lot of your research. But I really ask everyone to approach these foundations with a beginner's mind. And what I mean is in these sections, you're going to write down things that you need to work on, things that you want to try. In at Glow Natural Wellness, we create a list of the client's current habits, and then we create a functional lifestyle prescription that has our recommendations. So you can do a combination as well. So you can write down what you need to change, or you can write down what you need to do, or you can kind of draw a line, write down what is the problem in that area and then what the solution is. And the beginner's mind is just because even though you know, like you've heard it before, you know you're supposed to drink water. If you're not actually doing it, then it doesn't really count. You have to go with a beginner's mind as if you're just hearing it now because now you're going to implement it. You're going to have a water bottle or a cup on your desk and you're going to keep filling it up. So throughout the day, you're going to be drinking. And you're going to have a goal of what that looks like. What is good? What's your definition of doing well? That we talk about this a lot in the Glow protocol. So again, the beginner's mind, there's so many possibilities, but with the expert's mind, there are a few. Meaning if you know it all, if you think you know it all because you've heard it all, you've done a lot of research, there's little chance for development. There's little chance for healing. But if you approach things with like open to possibilities, then the world is really open for anything that you want. I was a personal trainer for many, many years while I was in college, but now I have a trainer, and when he's explaining how to do the exercises, I approach it like I've never seen the exercise before because I might have seen it before, but I might have learned it differently than he's telling me right now. And I don't want to miss out on the little nuances. And so that's what like having a beginner's mind is really about. And letting go of preconceptions of how things work, eliminating expectations about what will happen. Maybe you've already tried meditating and it didn't do anything for you, but let's open up to the curiosity and maybe you can understand it more deeply. Maybe at this stage in your life, in this time, you can actually utilize it and have some new possibilities. So asking simple questions, that's all that I ask you to do when it comes to these foundations. So we're going to go through the little boxes. So we got sleep and relaxation. So do you get home late? Do you eat late? Do you have to wake up early? Do you have 7 to 8 hours of sleep? 7 to 9 hours is what's considered ideal. There is a very, very tiny subset of the population, less than 1%, that can thrive on less than that time. So the majority of people watching, pretty much all the people watching, are really need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Do you have difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep? Do you have restless leg syndrome? Could you possibly have sleep apnea? Are you working with third shift, like the night shift? Do you drink alcohol at night? Do you eat late at night, like snacks and sugars and things while you're watching TV? Do you participate in restorative activities, things like deep breathing, yoga, sauna, meditation, journaling, things like that, affirmations? Do you do any of these things? Do you get daily exercise? Do you get outside during the day? Do you have a nighttime routine? Do you journal? These are all things that go into the sleep and relaxation category. And so this section covers sleep, but also relaxation. So this includes taking a break to reset. A lot of times we're constantly on and we don't take a break to pause. So this is just a little like exercise that I do with the girls at Girls Inc. So with younger people, but it's great for really everybody. So you just want to go through these steps. So first you want to feel your body. Just feel what you're feeling right now. It could be how you're feeling mentally. It could be how you're feeling physically. And then you want to find a comfortable position and you want to slowly inhale for a count of 4. You want to really fill up your belly, let it rise, fill yourself up completely. And then you want to exhale for a count of 4. And then you want to notice how your body feels now after you have that breath. Is it a little bit lighter? Is the pain a little bit less? Are you a little bit less distraught? And if the answer is yes, then maybe you want to practice this again. And you want to basically evolve into what we call box breathing or square belly breathing. So this is where you're going to go through the count of 4. You're gonna inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And at each time you make that cycle, you want to check in with yourself and how are you feeling now? And when you're done, when you're feeling better. And so this really does work a lot. There's a lot of apps out there, a lot of resources. There's Insight Timer, there's Calm, there's Headspace. There's one called Aura that I'm liking right now that has some great guided meditations, some little like thoughts for the day, some coaching. So I think that one's really great. It's called Aura, Aura. It is a paid app, but it's just a few bucks and you have it in your pocket. Meditation teachers and mindfulness teachers, and I just think it's amazing. So, mindfulness-based stress reduction is really, really interesting. So, this is like studies that have been done at some of the best clinics, researched and published in JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association. So they found after 26 weeks, 43.6% of adults that participated in mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques experienced a clinically meaningful reduction in pain, compared to 44.9% that were in the cognitive-based therapy group and 26.6% that got the medication. So this is really interesting. So the people who got only the opioids or the medication or the physical therapy, 26.6% of them had a meaningful reduction in pain. But when they added in the mindfulness-based stress reduction, that number increased to 43.6, almost doubled, not quite, but almost. So that really shows you that this is not woo-woo. This is not all in your head. This is real. And it works as good as medication, as good as these dangerous opioids with no side effects, no sound effects, no side effects. And also, it doesn't cost anything and you are in control. And it's something you can do anytime, anywhere. Super, super powerful. And the relaxation response, this is also a study that was published in Plus One, which is a very, very well-known medical journal. Relaxation response is powerful in its ability to regulate multiple body systems. So what they found is that just by practicing relaxation, which is an enhanced expression of your genes happen, which basically energy metabolism, mitochondrial function, insulin secretion, and telomere maintenance. This is how quickly you age. And reduced expression of genes linked to inflammatory responses and stress-related pathways. This is just from invoking a relaxation response. This is crazy. So here is how modifiable lifestyle factors of just doing some deep breathing and invoking that relaxation response affects your hormone system, your mitochondria, your defense and repair. It's so powerful. We do not need a cabinet full of drugs or supplements. All we need is our breath. It's so amazing. I'm not saying it's going to heal all your problems, but we really have to just, why are these studies not top story on the news? Why is it that when you go to your doctor, they're not starting with this? It is insane. So other reasons for poor sleep, things that you can put in this section are going to be low melatonin production. This could be a result of aging. This could also be a result of blue light exposure. So you can try some blue light blocking glasses. You can also do some melatonin supplementation. Low progesterone is another reason for low sleep or poor sleep. And so you can definitely supplement with progesterone. Chronic pain, obviously, if you're in pain, you're gonna have trouble sleeping. Noise, if you live in an environment like loud trains or planes or someone's jackhammering outside your door, that's gonna cause a problem with your sleep. If you're not comfortable, if you have anxiety, if you don't feel safe, if you have food sensitivities, if you have GI infections, things like candida or bacterial infections, these can keep you up at night. And if you have liver toxicity. So those are all things you could put into that section of sleep and relaxation of problems. And then you can also put things that you can do. Now we're going to move to exercise and movement. Very, very important. One of my favorites. I actually find exercise to be so, so beneficial for me. I have severe ADHD, and exercise is something that helps me cope with my ADHD and helps me to actually be super productive and able to run Glow Natural Wellness and able to create content, able to sit here with you guys for hours. I was actually jumping on my rebounder right before we started so I can get to the place where I can focus. And but exercise is everything. It's makes you feel good. It's antidepressant, it's anti-inflammatory, it's pain reducing, it's longevity invoking. So exercise is important. Everything counts. So a lot of doctors get that wrong. We used to say that you have to exercise at 80% of your max heart rate and all that nonsense, but all you have to really do is move. If you're walking, if you're running, if you're skipping, if you're doing classes like yoga or Pilates, um, all that stuff matters. But you might have some restrictions, you might have some muscle imbalances, you might have a bad relationship with exercise and you can rekindle it. I always like to tell people that there is a movement pattern for everybody. Maybe you want to try something new. For many years, I had clients that would just hate going to the gym, and I'd be like, well, you have to go to the gym if you want to be in shape. And I think that what you find is if you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't like, then maybe you won't continue doing it. But if you really understand why you're doing it and you really buy into that goal, then sometimes you could change your perception of it. But you don't have to do something you don't enjoy. One of the things I like to tell people is think back to when you were a child. Like, what did you love to do? And so my patient that didn't want to go to the gym, I asked her, like, what did you do when you were a little kid? She said, oh my God, like my favorite thing to do as a little girl is we used to go in our backyard. We had this little hill and we just had races rolling down the hill, just feeling the grass rolling, and we'd get dizzy and we'd laugh. And so I'm like, well, she can't do that now because she's 50 years old. That would be kind of weird if she did. I mean, she could, but I wasn't going to suggest that. But she lived in Madison and she lived actually not that far from a park. So I thought, well, what if you just start going to the park and maybe sitting in the park, sitting on the grass, reconnecting with your childhood? And she did, and she felt good when she went to the park. And so within a week of her going to the park, she noticed there was a Tai Chi class happening in the park, and she actually started to join it. So she joined the Tai Chi class. She actually really enjoyed Tai Chi, and she started doing some other types of martial arts. And she lost 30 pounds because of doing something that was really in alignment with what she enjoyed. And so think about what you enjoy. Exercise and movement is not supposed to be punishment, but it's so beneficial. And other cultures get it. They have these adult playgrounds in other cultures in different parts of the world. In America, we make it too easy. We've got segways and scooters and like every like way to like not walk, moving sidewalks and all these things. And most people really have to make a real effort to carve out some time to get out. And so that is something that is really essential. Movement is essential. You can get a stand-up desk, you can get a little walking platform, you can get a rebounder like I have in my house, you can go out for walks in between. So there's many ways to add in movement, but if you are like really serious about being in the best shape of your life, you can definitely add in some weights because that is something that I have found to really transform my body and my confidence and really help my bone health and my muscles and my hormones. Because when you lift weights, it's going to help with your testosterone. So there's so many things to be impacted by your hormones. And so if you are interested in that, definitely message me privately. I do have something coming up that I'm super excited about. in the area of fitness and really being that 10.0 version of yourself. But I'm not going to talk about that right now because we are talking about you and your functional medicine matrix. So, like I said, other cultures, they get it. They have playgrounds and yoga and martial arts and tai chi just packed into their day, and we are just doing everything we can just to stay seated. Thankfully, there are some sporting events. Like, we don't even go out to like the store to get our food anymore. Everyone's Instacarting and door dashing, so that is a big problem in our world. So the problem is we have to give ourselves permission to do something different. We have to be the odd man out. We have to be the one that wants to park farther away from the store and walk. We have to be the one who's like, hey guys, I'm not going to sit around and eat pizza and drink alcohol tonight. I'm going to go to the gym, right? So it has to be something that maybe isn't familiar. Give yourself permission to step away and saying, hey, I'm going to take care of myself. And these things do not make me feel good. And so start a new habit. Like, self-care is not optional. Self-care is on your to-do list. And so regardless of what other people around you are doing, no one needs to change for you to improve. So nobody else needs to give you permission. You have to give yourself permission. And so just like on the plane, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And that is the only way you're going to make a difference in your life. And one place to start is with your posture. Posture is super important. It does, even though it's not really a movement, I'm going to put it in this category. And so there's actually a study about the Wonder Woman pose, this like powerful pose where she's like standing tall with her hands on her hips, her head up. And if you do stand like this for 1 minute with your chest out, hands on your hips, not doing anything else, you can actually raise your neural energy levels, so your brain energy, and you can feel more confident. Your blood pressure goes down, you feel more grounded, and you actually perform better, especially in job interviews. So they actually did those studies. So it's actually crazy. Like, this pose has impact on your neuroendocrine system. So start posing. All right, so next section, we're going to do nutrition. So nutrition is a huge thing in natural medicine. Um, of course, we got leaky gut. And like I mentioned before, newborns have leaky gut. This is why you can never feed them cow's milk or peanut butter, because their guts are open. And so basically, it takes colostrum and IgG antibodies and immunoglobulins to tighten those leaky gut, leaky junctions in a newborn. And all of us at some point in our life, we go back and forth depending on how much we abuse our body, depending on how much antibiotics we've taken, how much toxins we're exposed to, how much stress we have, um, we go in and out of this, where we might get sick and have some diarrhea, and then our body heals, and maybe we have a bad headache, and maybe we took some NSAIDs, and then that kind of causes some issues with our gut. And so sometimes we're never allowed to fully heal because things are happening. We're exposed to different things, and we're eating that processed food, and that's opening up our gut. And so here, where we're in natural medicine, we really want to heal the gut. We really want to see where it's inflamed. We want to see where those tight junctions are open. And we want to make sure that we're not allowing things to go into the bloodstream that aren't supposed to be there. When things breach that blood-brain barrier, it can cause a lot of inflammatory properties. That arachidonic acid comes out and causes that fire all over the place. And that causes a lot of symptoms to cascade from that. So healing leaky gut first, and knowing that you're not giving your body any of those bad symptoms or signals to react to, is super important. And so one thing that's really cool, we talked about plants earlier, but chlorophylls, we talked about phytochemicals right earlier. We talked about um, different ashwagandha and the stress response, but chlorophyll um, is really in a class of its own. It's shown to actually help to inhibit carcinogen uptake and tumorigenesis. So basically, it can actually be anti-cancer and prevent tumor growth, which is absolutely amazing. And with our dietary intake, so just plants basically we eat about, on average as Americans, 1/3 of a teaspoon per day of our phytonutrients, which is really bad, meaning we need a lot more. So basically, um, if you eat just 1.5 grams, that's so low. That's not enough. So I challenge everybody to just leave here tonight knowing two things, maybe three things. Eat plants that are green, eat less sugar, and breathe deeply. If you just do those three things, you're going to really improve your immune system. You're going to have a healthier life. But we got so much more stuff for you to do. Magnesium is another one. So there's a group, an intervention group that in a randomly controlled trial, a double-blind randomly controlled trial where the group was given 500 milligrams of magnesium daily for 8 weeks, and they had a mean reduction in the Beck Depression Inventory. This is a standardized measure of depression versus the control group. So the just 500 milligrams of magnesium daily in a controlled study showed that lower depression. And that is absolutely like, we don't need antidepressants. Sometimes we just need magnesium. So nutrition, super important, right? It's not just data. It's not judgment. Like we don't want to vilify foods. It's not confession time if you eat something that's not on your ideal food list, but we got to make sure that we're not constantly eating foods that are bad. We want to focus on whole real foods over processed foods. We want to eliminate artificial sweeteners, high sugar. We really want to stay away from the processed packaged standard American diet, conventionally raised animal products. And then we really want to address our nutrient deficiencies. So we want to look at B12, selenium, omega-3, vitamin D. Those are the top nutrient deficiencies. And if we can address those, that can be really, really helpful. There's a lot of things that we also need to look at, like our prescription medications. For example, oral contraceptives can cause low zinc and low magnesium, which can cause that depression, and things like cramping and all kinds of things like low libido and depression. And so there's a lot of things that we need to look at. Micronutrients are a way that we can bolster things up so we don't get depleted. Okay, and now we're going to move on to stress. Stress is a big one, lots of stress. So examples of stress are going to be job loss, divorce, traumatic events, financial strain, isolation, minimal self-care, caregiving for family or mentors. So this is our psychological stress. And then we have biochemical stress, which are any of those toxins that come into our body. And then we have mental, emotional stress. This is what we're talking about. Then we have physical stress. So physical stress, there's chronic pain, injuries, things like that. So dementia is associated with higher morning serum elevations of cortisol. So that's interesting. So we know that stress is bad, and I don't mean to scare you, but it actually shrinks your brain. So those breathing exercises we did earlier in the relaxation section, these are great tools here as well. We really need to reframe how we perceive our day and stop like making it in a stressful perception. So we get to choose how we view things and how we view the world. And for instance, like I can be walking down the street and maybe I see somebody who I knew in high school. And as she walks by, she says something. And I can either believe in my mind that she says, "You suck," and then I can have a bad day, like, oh my God, she hates me. Or I can think that she said something completely different, like, oh, like, what's up, maybe. And then I can have a great day, right? So it's all in our perception. But higher concentrations of cortisol can actually impair cognition and can actually shrink your brain, your hippocampus. So that is huge. And so when we're talking about like thinking about all the things we need to do, start thinking about start thinking about your day as being dynamic, like a web instead of linear. It's not like you have to do this, then this, then this. It's just allow things to come into your day and allow things to go out of your day. And it actually helps to give you like be more present with people, be more present with your feelings and your energy. And I think that's really important. So I challenge you to start thinking of your day as more of a web instead of a linear kind of to-do list. And one of the things I think is really helpful for stress reduction is having a personal mission statement, having a purpose. Like, what are you here to do on the planet? And so, an example of like something I might say is, I am passionate about doing difficult things that make a difference in the world in the spirit of generosity, while always putting an emphasis on fun and family. So it kind of like takes in like everything that I think is important. So you kind of like throw out some words. You can just kind of make up your own little statement, and you don't have to do this right now because it might take a little bit of time. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of something called Shinrin-yoku. And this is actually something called forest bathing. It's a Japanese word, and it means go walk through the forest. And in their culture, that's what they do. They believe the forest has magical healing qualities. And so researchers decided to test it. And so they actually did a test, um, and they found out that you don't actually need to be in the forest. They can actually um, well, they measured, first of all, like they measured the blood markers like blood pressure, pulse rate, inflammatory markers, cortisol. They measured those before and after going for a 10-minute walk, and they found that the blood pressure was less, the cortisol was lower, the pulse was more relaxed, inflammatory markers were lower. And so the researchers say, let me see if we can do this with just like a picture of a forest. And what they actually found is that the picture of a forest, like on your laptop, like this, can actually have the same effect. And it can actually get better if you have like a soundtrack of birds chirping, and or if you actually sit by a window when you look at this. And it's kind of crazy because it didn't only have similar results to actually walking in the forest, but had like the same results when it came to those markers. So that's super cool because no matter where you live, no matter what time of the year it is, even if it's snow all over the place, you can actually like screenshot this and have it on your phone or have it on your computer. And you can actually get the benefits of just kind of daydreaming and gazing into the forest. And it can actually lower your stress response and lower your inflammatory markers, which is absolutely wild. And this is why a lot of like doctors' offices, especially naturopaths, yoga places, even some restaurants have pictures of forests because they know that it is very, very relaxing. So even though it's winter and you might not be able to take a very long walk outside, you might not even be able to see the trail, but you can definitely look outside. But I still feel like there is a benefit to actually being outside. So I think combining the two of these, like getting outside in nature and also having your forest to look at, can also be very beneficial. All right, last and not least, relationships. So, did you even realize that relationships was a component of health? Well, it is important. It's just as important as the others. So, if you've ever heard of the blue zones, the blue zones are the 5 places in the world where almost everybody lives to be 100. And so they research like what is going on? What does Loma Linda, California, Costa Rica, Italy, Greece, and Japan, what do these specific towns in these areas have in common that are not so common anywhere else? And one of them is that they move. So they move their body. They don't drive a lot. They ride bikes and they walk. They eat clean, whole real foods, and they have a good outlook on life. They have good sleep and they have a purpose. And I would encourage everybody to have a purpose. But they also have this great sense of community. So when we talk about having a purpose, um, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on you. And so I think like just think like, what are you here for? What's your passion? What do you like? Um, what do you think like your time on this planet is for? And so thinking about that, that's one of the things in the blue zones that they really seem to have this passion, but they also have a um, very strong pull to community and spending time with each other. And so everyone in these areas is active. They move naturally. So they're moving their bodies, just naturally getting from one place to another. Walking and biking is their transportation. They all pretty much eat plants and some fish. and they drink their wine at 5 o'clock as a social way. They have family first. They feel like they belong. They feel like they're part of a tribe. And that is really the foundation, I think, that the family, the belonging, and the tribe, the relationships are what fuels everything else. And they kind of center their lives around being together, spending time together, telling stories. And that is really important for our overall health. And when we talk about feelings of loneliness and social isolation, they actually studied 2,000 older people that did not have dementia living in a community. And they followed them for 3 years, and they found that older people with feelings of loneliness were more likely to develop dementia than people that did not feel lonely. And so this study was done in Amsterdam in February 2014. And they really found that, those who identified as being lonely had a higher risk of dementia. And those that felt that they belonged had lower cortisol levels, lower C-reactive protein, lower blood pressure, and lower inflammation. And so that is really a really important study. I think that it really shows like how important a friends group is, how important a community is, because we all have this desire to belong. We need to have a tribe, whether it's our faith group or neighbors or community groups. This leads to a longer life. So hobby clubs. And this is why I believe that women live longer because women tend to naturally be more social, and men they're kind of into their career a lot of times. They're happy to be home watching football, but women like to get together, like to talk more, like to go for coffee. So I encourage men and women to definitely be part of something. Even that's why we have a community aspect in our practice at Go Natural Wellness. I think it's important that even if you don't have any other tribe, if you have like a healing tribe, that could be something that you bond around. So in the relationship section, you're as strong as your tribe. You need to connect with your neighbors, your family, your friends, your church, your faith groups, your hobby clubs, community gatherings, even online. Online groups can be part of this, like-minded individuals that share a love for something in common. All right, so we completed the sheet. Now it's time to tell you how to use it. All right, so if we have any questions about the decoding your symptoms section, I will look at those real quick. I'm going to try to kind of push past this. Thank you guys. Oh, doTERRA essential oils has a blend called Shinrin Yoku, which is the forest bathing. I wonder that would be awesome to do that while um, looking at the forest. That's so cool. Awesome. What kind of magnesium is the best? It really depends. Magnesium glucinate is one that I usually use a lot. Threonate is great. Oxide I don't really like, so that's one that I don't use. How many cups of green vegetables did you eat a day? So I say about 7 to 10 is a good goal. But that could be vegetables in general. So I like to vary my colors, but having some green veggies is going to be super important. Like giant big salads with lots of colorful vegetables on it is my favorite thing to do. Yes, I will be sending the forms out with the replay. Oh, you want me to send the form one more time? I'll just do that. I'll put it down here for you guys. Oops. There we go. All right, so I'm going to move on. I will answer more questions at the end. All right, let's see. All right, so now we're going to match what you did to a food planner eating style. So here we go. I'm going to scroll through all that. So what you want to do is you're going to find like where you wrote the most stuff. So what category did you list the most stuff underneath? You want to circle that category. Typically, you're going to have maybe two areas that have a lot of things, and I'm talking about that white section in the middle. So natural medicine recognizes that illnesses don't occur in isolation, and the worksheet is going to help you examine the body's symptoms, your systems, and the risk factors for pretty much all of our health conditions. But having this little roadmap provides an outline to organize your imbalances and how they fall into the different biological symptoms. So, how they fall into defense and repair, energy, biotransformation, elimination, transport, communication, structural integrity, and assimilation. So, you're going to kind of look at yours, like this is an example one. So this person put a lot of stuff into defense and repair and also assimilation. So those are the two areas that I would say is the majority of the things. And then you also want to take into account your story, your mitochondrial life factors, and we have another worksheet that we've talked about in the Glow protocols. So this is something that we dive deeper into this retelling your story section and we map it out on a timeline. So basically, it kind of puts things in order. So it's kind of like a story where we have a plot, a setting, the characters, the conflict, and the elements of the story come together to make sense. And so in healthcare, these stories provide a tool that not only helps us to have a meaningful discussion about what's going on, but it also gives us clues into what might have been the cause of the manifestation of these disease processes. So it kind of puts things in order. And so we like to kind of dive a little deeper into that. And really, it doesn't matter who you're working with, what system you're working within, or what income or educational level you have. If you can honor the story and you're able to tell it back to your patient and it makes sense to them, then you can really help to unwind a collection of symptoms and return to health. This is one of the top functional medicine doctors that kind of created the idea of these systems from the Institute of Functional Medicine. And so basically, what he's saying is that the more we get to know about our patients and the more you get to know about yourself, if you're doing your own healer, the easier it is to understand what's going on. And so let's match up how we're going to eat to where you have the most aches. So assimilation and defense and repair are going to have a similar eating style. So we're going to be looking at anti-inflammatory or elimination diet. So this is like the autoimmune paleo diet, gluten-free, dairy-free. We're going to avoid histamines, oxalates, and nightshades. So that's a diet for assimilation, defense, and repair. Now for structural integrity, this is going to be more of a balanced food plan. We're going to really focus on the phytonutrient-rich foods, so colorful vegetables. We're going to focus on low sugar. We're going to focus on organic, non-GMO, and vitamins and minerals. Then if we're over in the energy, over on the right side, the mitochondrial meal plan is going to be high fat, low carb, not full keto, but keto-ish. That's going to be if the mitochondrial, the energy production is your biggest area. Now, if communication is the area that you have the most issues in, you want like a hormone balance plan. So this is going to be healthy fats because your hormones are made from fats. It's going to be fiber to help with hormone detox, protein because there's going to be building blocks. You're going to have some legumes, some fish, definitely some animal protein that's organic and grass fed. And then you want protective antioxidants. You want things that help with liver detox and hormone metabolism. And then for transport, you want a heart healthy plan to keep your blood sugar, your blood pressure, and all that lower. So this is going to include fiber. This is going to include protein. This is going to include lower sugar and vitamins and minerals. And then the biotransformation and elimination, they're going to focus on antioxidants, focus on fiber, lots of vegetables, and the nutrients to help in that phase 1 and the phase 2 that I have listed on that slide. So you can go back and look at that later. So in our Glow protocol, we actually have specific food plans for each of these areas, along with meal plans and recipes. And so that's something that we do offer in our Glow protocol, but you can easily look up these plans online or chat GPT them and get pretty good information. So every 90 days, 90% of your cells replace themselves. I don't know if you know that, but so if you're feeling a little bummed that you have a lot of stuff written down, just know that 90 days, you have major results. And we see that all the time with our patients. Those who are putting in the work in the first 90 days, they feel amazing. And that's usually what we ask them to leave a review because that's what they're feeling so excited, which is great. So, what's next for you? So, I would love to walk you through how to use what we did tonight over the next 30 days, really give you those actual food plans and really start the needle moving on your dysfunction. Um, I want to invite you to our Glow Protocol program so you can have unlimited support with our clinical team, weekly calls with me and my coaches. So every other week I'll be teaching, and then every other week my coaches will be answering questions. I also have tons of video trainings, a whole library of naturopathic protocols for pretty much almost any disease, function, or dysfunction. Um, the meal plans that we talked about, recipes, food lists, shopping lists, plus nutrition coaching, mindset coaching, and natural medicine support. So you're going to start working on all of that. So if you're committed to taking control of your health and using a proven roadmap, then I would love to formally invite you to the Glow Protocol. And it is going to cost you hardly anything. So basically, for just $79, the cost of a dinner out, you're going to get access to all of this and our coaching. And the Glow Protocol is the only at-home natural medicine holistic implementation program out there. So you'll learn exactly how to uncover and remove anything blocking you from healing, understand your symptoms, and heal your body with a systems-based system so that you can really enjoy optimal wellness and be your own healer. And we've been featured on major media, CBS, Fox, ABC, many magazines because of the dramatic results that our patients get in the Glow Protocol. And so normally it's $297 a month. You'll see on our website right now, it's $297. But I'm going to give you a coupon code right now so that you can actually get it for $79 a month. And so what you're going to get is all of the modules. So you're going to get the foundations of health and the assessments. You're going to get understanding how to investigate your root cause, and then you're going to get the modules that link up with all of the systems that we talked about. So we're really going to go deep dive into each of these areas, and I'll explain that in a second. Plus, you get the extensive library of all of my protocols, which alone is worth the cost of admission. So what you're going to do is we're going to start with state-of-the-art assessments. We're going to really dive deep into your own custom roadmap, a little deeper than we did tonight. And then you're going to start with the foundations of health. So we're going to be really going into our dream framework, which is diet, rest, exercise, activities, meditation, mindset, and stress reduction. This is going to really take care of a lot of your symptoms right off the bat, just with dialing in the dream framework. And then we're going to go to our data-driven approach. So you're really going to understand how to actually change the way your genes are expressing. Then we're going to go to gut and immune mastery. This is going to be where we're looking at leaky gut, viruses, fungi, bacterial infections, parasites, autoimmunity, and really going to focus on restoring your microbiome and your immune system balance and repairing and rebuilding that mucosal barrier so you don't get leaky gut again. Then we're going into nutrient absorption and assimilation. This is where we're going to understand how your body breaks down food and how it delivers it to your cells. So we're going to understand how your body is dealing with absorption issues, things like GERD, gastric reflux, nutrient deficiencies, histamine intolerance, food sensitivities. We cover all there. Then we go into hormones and neurotransmitters. This is where we're going to be talking about adrenal, thyroid, blood sugar, melatonin, all your hormones, your neurotransmitters, and what they do in the body and how you can actually optimize them naturally, which most people don't do. Then we're going to go into detoxification. Detoxification is a huge, huge module. Everything from avoiding toxins to really looking at how to optimize your detox pathways, how to reduce your toxin load, and how to really detoxify at a cellular level. Then there's energy production. This is the mitochondrial health. This is how we're going to evaluate your energy systems. We're going to look at the impact of oxidative stress on the systems. We're going to look at nutrition functioning, lifestyle choices, and how we can actually elevate your energy restoration process. and get those mitochondria to clean themselves out. And then we're going to look at cardiometabolic health and transport. This is where we're looking at naturopathic protocols for preventing and reversing heart disease, hypertension, elevated fasting blood sugar, abnormal obesity, elevated triglycerides, cholesterol issues, all these things. We're going to look at lymph and lymphatic drainage, and really going to help you improve your longevity and overall health. And then finally, we're going to go and we're going to look at how to maintain balance in all the systems. So once you've healed, we want to really balance and harmonize. And then once you're balanced, you want to go beyond balance. So this is where we're going to be deeper relationships, expanded creativity, a new level of consciousness. So we're going to explore in the Thrive and Optimize. And then you get so many bonus materials, so many healing protocols, expert interviews in the areas of brain health, hormone balance, mindfulness. And of course, you get our support all the way through. And so by the end of the program, you're going to understand how to read blood tests. You're going to understand how to read diagnostic tests. You're going to have a working knowledge of how to use food, herbs, and nature as medicine. You're going to have the ability to stop illnesses in their tracks at the first sign of dysfunction for yourself and your family. And you're going to have an improved relationship with food in your body. And you're going to intuitively know what your body needs to heal, grow, and thrive. And that to me is priceless. And we have some testimonials, but I won't take up too much time. Basically, we had women that went from being in a wheelchair to being able to go for a walk and being able to dance. Super amazing. This woman in particular, she basically had chronic pain, fibromyalgia. She was basically told that she was going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And now she is just living the best life and traveling with her family and feeling amazing. So just what you're going to get. So you're going to get the complete program valued at $297. You're not going to pay $297. It's only $79. And then you're going to also get a private members only online support group for your community accountability, but also for that relationship section of the matrix there. And then we're also going to have weekly live Q&A sessions with me and my team that's going to help you troubleshoot so you're not alone in the journey. And so it's only $79 a month. If you decide to cancel, you can cancel anytime. If you decide to stay with us, it's only going to be $79 a month for the whole time you're in the program, whether you're in the program for 3 months or 3 years. Your price will never raise, but there's no contracts. You can stop at any time. So like I said, it's just $79, but you need the code. So it's GLOW79 at checkout. So if you go to our website and see the GLOW protocol, it's actually up at the top of the page because they're running a sale this week. You can click up at the top. You go to glownaturalwellness.com, click on the little ticker at the top in black, and you will get the coupon code automatically applied. So I know that if you're still here, and there's many, many people still here on the call, it's because there's something going on. You want to understand your health and you want to really have another option between what you're experiencing in the medical system, where you might feel that you might feel lost, you might not feel like you're getting what you need from your health practitioners. You might just want to feel self-sufficient, right? Maybe that's why you're here, because you really know that your health is your greatest asset and that it's something that you should really invest in. Maybe you're confused. Maybe you want answers and you're finding it hard to be able to ask the questions to get answers, and you want somewhere to go where you have a safe space and you can ask questions about your health. And maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you have symptoms and they're just not going away, and you've tried all the things and you want to get off your prescriptions and you want to avoid surgery and you want to live longer and healthier. And that is, you're in the right place for that. And then maybe you just know that you just can't, it can't be this hard to feel healthy. And you know that deep down you deserve to feel amazing. And no matter any of those reasons, you're definitely in the right place. And you definitely continue without a plan. You can use this matrix and take it to a healthcare provider and have them help you, or you can just try to figure it out on your own. There's lots of resources online, and even on our website, we have lots of free resources. And I really commend you for staying here tonight and learning that what we learned tonight is super valuable and you can take that and implement it. But if you want to join thousands of other women in healing and optimizing your health in an easy, effective way that can fit into your lifestyle with guidance, so you don't have to try all the things, you can just try the things that work for you. And so I really encourage you to join us. I think that the women who are our success stories, there's thousands of them. They're not lucky or privileged. They're actually just like you, but they had a proven plan. They had support along the way, and that's why they have success stories. From going from multiple sclerosis, being in a wheelchair, to walking and dancing, or going from debilitating migraines and menstrual pain to living a pain-free life, having weight loss, overcoming autoimmunity, so many different success stories. And if they can do it, so can you, because you're going to have that same support and that same guidance and that same system. So this is one of my favorite quotes from the Wizard of Oz. You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself. So I will help you learn that power that you have inside. And so finally, Glow Protocol, you're going to get access to the live calls with me every week. I actually do the live calls every other week, and then my health coaches do them in between to answer questions. They are all amazing. You're going to be able to balance hormones, your blood sugar, your mitochondria, like all the things, improve your gut health. And it's only $79 for everything. The sale ends on Monday, so I really encourage you to jump in. We do have a limit to the amount of women we can take in, but I think I will let you guys know. I won't shut it off today, but maybe over the weekend we might need to end the sale a little bit early just because we want to make sure that we can help everyone who joins. Yes, live support from me during the whole course. So every other week you're gonna meet with me. Not in this format, in a format where you can actually see each other and ask questions. Then you're also gonna have every other week with my health coaches, and then you can always email in support. And right inside the training modules, right inside like all of the coursework, there is a place to ask questions all throughout the week. So you're never going to be sitting there with a question, and you're going to have access to the course and all the protocols and all the resources. So it really is pretty amazing, and it is everything you need to heal, grow, and thrive. So yeah, if you have questions, please let me know. You can also email in if you have more questions. Yeah, so the Glow Protocol is separate from the Healthy Hormone Club. The Healthy Hormone Club is specifically for replacing hormones and supporting the issue of menopause hormone decline. The Glow Protocol is everything else we talked about tonight. So it's your gut health, your immune health. It's also supporting your hormone systems, but not with hormones, with nature, with lifestyle, with nutrition, with supplementation, with mindfulness, with breath work, with gratitude, with relationships, with stress reductions. That's all the tools that we use in the Glow Protocol. How it works is when you join the Glow Protocol, you have access to the welcome and we call the core module, and then 3 days later you'll have access to module 1, which is all your foundations of health and some great material. And then you also have access to all of our healing protocols, all of our bonuses, past coaching calls, so all this amazing material. We try not to overwhelm you because there is a lot of material, so we don't want you to just like consume it all at once, because consuming a lot of education is not going to heal you. It's putting it into practice. And so yes, it's just $79 per month. It's less than the cost of like going out to dinner. Really, like if you and your husband or you and your friends go out to dinner, it's going to be $79. So for $79, you get this amazing asset, and you can do it for as long as you want or as short as you want. So if you want to do it for 4 months and then you want to take that information and do it on your own, that's completely fine. There is no contract, but people tend to stay in it because the fact that you can ask questions and you can get that support is really priceless. So anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys here for too long. You can also go to, I guess I could put the link. Let me see if I can get it up on my screen. Put the link over here. So I'll put the link to the page. And if you use this link that I'm putting into the chat, so if you go to glownaturalwellness.com, you can just pull it up at the top. But if you put this link, use this link, then you don't even have to type the coupon code in. It'll be in there automatically. So that is the link, and you can learn more about it. It talks about all the modules on the page and goes a little more in depth into what it happens, what is involved. And you can always email support at Glow Natural Wellness anytime after this call. We're happy to answer your call or answer your questions. You can call in to our support anytime and we can answer your questions. But if you have questions about this program, I do have coaches that can jump on a call with you and go more in depth and talk to you about it a little bit more. Awesome. And they can also DM me on Instagram. So those of you who follow me on Instagram, it's Dr. Michelle Sands on Instagram. I do answer all my Instagram messages, so feel free to reach out to me there. Thank you guys so much. I will send the replay so you can go through the slides a little more in depth and really fill out. Awesome, Kim. I'm so excited to get you started. Yes, it's only $79. It's not $299 is the regular price, but because you guys spent 3 hours with me, pretty much. Maybe it was, I don't know, was it 3 hours? No, it's almost. And because I really want to help as many people as possible, I'm super excited to offer it for $79. I think that healing should not be expensive. I think that natural medicine has kind of been, I guess I can take the slides off. I'll stop my share. I kind of feel like natural medicine has been kind of like for the elite and too expensive for people that really do. Oh, welcome, Stacey. I see you just signed up. Awesome. I'm so excited to see you guys. So this next, let's see, today is Thursday. So we had our coaching call today. Next week, the coaching call is with Kim, my coach. And then on the 30th or the week, that following week, I will be on the call teaching. And so I'm so excited to see you guys. And you guys can jump into the Facebook group right away. We have a private Facebook community and you'll get right into the modules. You can definitely reach out to me if you have questions. I really am excited for you guys to see the world of natural medicine and how accessible it is and how powerful our bodies can heal with just nature. It is absolutely amazing. I shouldn't say just nature, with the amazing magic of nature is what I want to say. Thank you again so much. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I hope that even without anything else, that just this workshop was super helpful. So that was my goal, to like really provide a lot of value and spend my night with you. And yes, so it's $79 for as long as you want to stay in the program. So it's not going to go up to $299 again if you join now. Awesome. Yes. So any questions, please email support@glownaturalwellness.com. And I will see you guys hopefully inside the program or on Instagram or wherever you want to find me online. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. And I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully I'll see you guys on the next Thursday call. Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.